Chapter 1607. While Ling Xiao was in the process of conquering the divine Phoenix capital, the Phoenix Academy, which was known as the strongest academy in the divine Phoenix Empire, was already empty. Other than the students who were incapable, the rest had escaped through special means. Ling Xiao could not do anything about this. The Righteous Alliance was in a similar situation. Almost all the higher-ups had disappeared. The Morality Court was also known as the last fortress of the divine Phoenix Empire, the gathering place of the strong. Ling Xiao wanted to see how powerful the dean was, but he did not expect that the dean had already escaped through a one-way transportation formation. Did they not dare to make an enemy out of him? Ling Xiao felt that this was not possible. No matter how strong Ling Xiao was, it would be troublesome for him to face a fourth-level yin-yang realm martial artist. Not to mention the dean of the Morality Court. It was said that his cultivation was comparable to the Moon Lady and the demonic Liquor Sword. Thus, there was only one explanation. The laws of the mystic world in the divine Phoenix continent were not conducive to their performance, so they went to the White Tiger continent. It's good that they left. It saves me a lot of trouble. Ling Xiao did not feel unhappy. Whether it was the Morality Court or the Phoenix Academy, they had a certain amount of strength to contend with him. If the other party really wanted to use force, although he could win, the losses would be too great. In this situation, although he could not eliminate them completely, at least it gave him more time to breathe and let him continue to become stronger. He believed that those enemies were waiting for him in the White Tiger continent. Did they think that he did not dare to go? If he wanted to step on the path of the strongest martial artist, the White Tiger continent was a place that he had to go. He looked at the sky in the distance and suddenly spread his wings. His body turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. After settling the matters in the imperial capital, the only thing left was the eternal joy, Celestial Island. There, he would probably have to have a real battle with Phoenix Cry Chishan. If he won, the divine Phoenix continent would naturally belong to him. And if he lost, then everything he had done before might turn to dust and come to an end. The Eternal Joy Celestial Island was the strongest force in the entire divine Phoenix continent. It was also the largest island. Its area could even be considered a small continent. Of course, the most important thing was that the Eternal Joy Celestial Island was on the main road to the White Tiger continent. If one wanted to go to the White Tiger continent, it was impossible to go around this island. This was because both sides of the sea were inhabited by terrifying storm sea beasts. The storm sea beast was huge and had terrifying strength. Even a martial artist at the 5th level of the yin-yang realm would not be able to defeat the terrifying storm sea beast. Not to mention, the storm sea beasts in the sea often travel in groups. If one really tried to cross the sea, only death would await them. Therefore, the immortal island of everlasting joy had always been a battleground for military strategists. This was the reason why Feng Ming Qishan personally led the army to this place. Perhaps from Phoenix Cry Qishan's point of view, controlling the everlasting music immortal island was even more important than controlling the divine Phoenix Empire. It was precisely because of this that he had neglected the defense of the divine Phoenix Empire's capital, allowing Ling Xiao to take advantage of the situation. But even so, if Ling Xiao was unable to take down Everlasting Joy Immortal Island, then the final victor would still be Phoenix Cry Chi Mountain. The Everlasting Joy Immortal Island had been artificially divided into two halves. On one side was the Divine Phoenix Coalition Army, led by Phoenix Cry Chishan. On the other side were the cultivators of Last Joy Immortal Island, led by Last Joy Old Ancestor. The war had been going on for several days, and both sides had their victories and losses. The aqua blue tent was the color of Phoenix Cry Chishan's military camp. Inside the main camp, Phoenix Cry Chishan, elders black and white, and a group of generals were discussing the war. This bone is too hard to chew. If we had known earlier, we would have taken down the Canopy Immortal Island and the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island first. Then, we would have joined forces to deal with the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island. Elder Black said with a gloomy expression. There's no point in talking about this now. I heard some rumors today about the Canopy Immortal Island and the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island. Did you guys hear it too? Elder White frowned and asked, What rumors? Phoenix Cry-Chishan asked. These days he had been thinking about how to defeat the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island. Although the bone was hard to chew, victory was already in sight. With the current offensive, the destruction of the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island was only a matter of time. After the battle between the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island and the Canopy Immortal Island ended, Feng Mingxiao, to be inconsolable, and the people from the Blackwater Immortal Island would rush over. When the time came, they would join forces. What was there to worry about? He really didn't know what was going on outside. Elder White hesitated for a moment and said, I heard that the Moon Maiden appeared at the Canopy Immortal Island and joined forces with Zhu when to defeat Feng Mingxiao's army. Moreover, they sent Feng Mingxiao into the stormy ocean, leaving no corpse behind. The Liquor Demon sword appeared at the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island. When the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island was destroyed and the Blackwater Immortal Island and the Opposite Shore Immortal Island were exhausted, it suddenly attacked and killed everyone from the Opposite Shore Immortal Island and the Blackwater Immortal Island. This news seems to have spread in the outside world. It's just that the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island is currently at war, so no one knows. However, I think this is just a rumor. That Ling Xiao should be busy attacking the Black Crow Empire. How could he be free? What can't that person do? In the camp, the Thunderhawk Patriarch said with a livid expression. After being tied to the war chariot by Phoenix Cry-Chishan, he had no way out. However, the worry for the future still drove him crazy. Maybe the Black Crow Empire will be dealt with by him in 3 or 4 days. Don't talk nonsense. How is that possible? Senior Black frowned. If that's the case, it will affect the army's morale. I don't know if it will affect the army's morale, but everyone, I've heard some rumors here. I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but it might be related to Emperor Chishan's future. The one who spoke was the Vermilion Bird Patriarch. He was also tied to the war chariot by Phoenix Cry-Chishan. If he didn't obey, he would die. Therefore, he had no choice. What did you hear too? Say it. Phoenix Cry-Chishan's face was gloomy, but he was still able to keep his cool. Emperor Chishan, please don't be angry if I say it. Just treat it as a rumor. The Vermilion Bird Tribe matriarch sighed and said, I heard that just a day ago, Ling Xiao led an army to attack the Divine Phoenix Empire's capital. Feng Yinshan led the Fire Phoenix tribe to escape, but we still don't know where exactly they went. However, the current imperial capital has already become a city of the Heavenly Dynasty Empire. The Heavenly Dynasty Empire's army is still attacking and conquering the small countries you previously conquered. Perhaps Ling Xiao has already led the army to Everlasting Joy Immortal Island to fight you to the death here. Vermilion Bird Patriarch, your joke is a bit too much. Just based on that Ling Xiao, he's only at the peak of the 10th Grotto Heaven Realm. Without the help of the Moon Maiden and the Demonic Liquor Sword, how could he touch the imperial capital? Although the Crown Prince's cultivation is inferior to Emperor Chishan's, he's definitely much stronger than Ling Xiao. Moreover, the sacred envoy of the Tianhai Empire is also in the imperial capital. Would Ling Xiao dare to do such a disgraceful thing in front of the sacred envoy? Senior Black couldn't believe the Vermilion Bird Patriarch's words. Chapter 1608. Elder Black, don't forget that person's name is Ling Xiao. Did you ever foresee any of the things he did? Could it be that you've forgotten so quickly that Ling Xiao killed the 5 Immortals Islands Alliance Master and Yuan Tianluan in the dragon-killing forest? It's not that I'm praising others and belittling myself, but this Ling Xiao definitely can't be treated with common sense. The rumors outside might not necessarily be rumors. Who knows? Ling Xiao might personally lead an army to Everlasting Joy Immortal Island and attack us from both sides with Ancestor Everlasting Joy. We'll have no way to survive. The Vermilion Bird, tribe's patriarch, said fearfully. He believed that it was impossible for such rumors to appear for no reason. Since someone said so, then it was possible that such a thing had really happened. Sometimes he even felt that he had made the wrong choice. If he had chosen to submit to Ling Xiao like the Great Rock Tribe and the Peacock Tribe, today's outcome might have been different. Ling Xiao, this person, had grown from an insignificant nobody to today, where even those big shots could not suppress him. The former overlords of the Divine Phoenix continent no longer had their former arrogance in front of Ling Xiao. Was this kind of person not worth following? Absolutely impossible. If Ling Xiao really dares to make a move against the Divine Phoenix Empire, the divine envoy of the Sky Sea Empire, and those experts of the Water God Hall will definitely not watch from the sidelines. Elder Black said angrily, "You think too highly of that kid. This old man really doesn't believe that he would dare to offend the divine envoy of the Sky Sea Empire." In the eyes of the older generation of experts of the Divine Phoenix Empire, the Sky Sea Empire was an unshakable and unapproachable existence. It was the heavens, the earth, and their god. It was a supreme existence. They didn't even dare to say a word of disrespect. So how could they dare to offend it? Although Ling Xiao had made a name for himself now, he was at most a figure like them. Would he really dare to disrespect the Sky Sea Empire? With Elder Black's way of thinking, it was impossible for him to understand. That guy is a lunatic, don't you think so? Not to mention the Tianhai Empire, as long as someone blocks his path of martial arts. Even if it's the Zhengyi school, he will dare to destroy them. The Vermilion Bird matriarch sneered and said, "I advise everyone to make preparations as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be too late by the time he arrives with his army." Impossible. Ling Xiao probably hadn't even taken down the Black Crow Empire yet. Perhaps he had already died there. My advice to all of you is to stop believing in some rumors. You should think about how to take down the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island. As long as the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island was taken down, the next target would be the Heavenly Dynasty Empire. Let's take advantage of the fact that Ling Xiao hasn't grown up yet and catch him off guard. Elder Bai absolutely agreed with Elder Hei's judgment. Although she had seen Ling Xiao's power, she still felt that the Vermilion Bird tribe matriarch's worries were a little excessive. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a deafening sound came from afar, as if a terrifying battle was about to begin. This made everyone in the camp nervous. Feng Ming Qishan frowned, suddenly stood up, and said to the outside, "Go and see what happened." In his heart, he had a strong premonition. Reporting, the fleet of the Heavenly Empire has appeared on the surface of the sea. Their flags are fluttering, covering the sky and the sun. Our people can't hold on any longer. A moment later, the scout reported. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Elder Black and Elder White looked at each other, unable to believe what they had heard. "Bastard, have you investigated it clearly?" Elder Black rushed out of the tent and grabbed the scout and scolded him angrily. "Let him go, Elder Black. Ling Xiao has really arrived." Feng Ming Qishan also walked out of the tent. The terrifying aura in the distance made him feel a real threat. He was too familiar with Ling Xiao's aura, although he had never placed this person in his eyes. Feng Ming Qishan had always been paying attention to him. Because Ling Xiao had once cooperated with Feng Yinshan, this gave him a bad premonition. "Feng Ming Qishan, get the hell out here." Suddenly, a roar came from the horizon. The terrifying sound wave spread for dozens of miles, shaking the ears of countless Divine Phoenix Empire soldiers and warriors. Currently, the Divine Phoenix Empire's army was being attacked from both sides and was in a dangerous situation. Army against army. Feng Ming Qishan already had no chance of winning. The only thing he could rely on right now was his powerful cultivation. As long as he killed Ling Xiao, everything could be reversed. Feng Mingqishan looked coldly at the distant sky and said in a clear voice, "Ling Xiao, if you have the guts, then fight with me on Changle Peak." Changle Peak, the highest peak of Changle Immortal Island, was close to 6,000 meters tall. On the mountain peak, there was snow all year round, and the climate was extremely cold. If an ordinary martial artist went up, they wouldn't be able to hold on for long. If an ordinary person didn't have any special measures to keep warm, then they would basically die. Why wouldn't I dare? Changle Peak was located in a neutral zone, so neither side could send troops to guard it. Of course, more importantly, most martial artists wouldn't be able to reach the peak, unless it was a yin-yang realm expert. Otherwise, it would be a waste of time to go up. If Ling Xiao could personally kill Feng Mingqishan, then this war could end, and the losses of the Heavenly Empire soldiers would be minimized. Why wouldn't he be happy? On the way from Divine Phoenix Empire to Changle Immortal Island, he once again achieved a breakthrough. In the intense battles, his potential was completely stimulated. Now he was already a second-level yin-yang realm martial artist. Facing Feng Mingqishan, he really didn't have much fear. Furthermore, on Changle Peak, if there was no one else, he could completely use the Tyrant martial soul. He still had about a 50% chance of killing Feng Mingqishan. As for whether he could win in the end, it would really depend on his performance. But the more dangerous the battle, the more it could arouse his desire to fight. Perhaps after the battle with Feng Mingqishan, his cultivation could once again explosively break through. Why would he miss such a good opportunity? All right, see you on Changle Peak. Feng Mingqishan sneered and said, "Just the two of us. No one is allowed to bring helpers. Otherwise, it's fine if we don't fight." "That's exactly what I want." Ling Xiao replied in a clear voice, "I'll take my leave first." Feng Mingqishan soared into the sky and leaped in the direction of Changle Peak. In an instant, he had already stepped onto the white ice mountain. As expected, he didn't bring anyone. "Ling Xiao, that Feng Mingqishan isn't a good person. Are you sure he will fight you one-on-one?" Demon Wine Sword frowned. "I'm sure he won't fight me one-on-one." Ling Xiao shook his head and said, "With my understanding of those people from the imperial family, Feng Mingqishan must have made some preparations to invite me to Changle Peak for a decisive battle." "Then why are you still going?" Moon Maiden said anxiously, "I'll go with you." I said, "I won't bring anyone. We can't violate the rules." Ling Xiao smiled. This smile was filled with confidence and a trace of cunning. Chapter 1609. Ling Xiao smiled and said, "Sister Moon Maiden, don't worry. I'm just going to take a look. If Phoenix Cry Mountain really wants to fight me one-on-one, then I can take advantage of this opportunity to eliminate him. If it's a trap, do you still not believe me? If I can't beat him, I can also escape. If I can't escape, I can also ask for help. With the two of you here, wouldn't it be easy to destroy Phoenix Cry Chi Mountain? Then we'll just wait here." The Moon Maiden frowned and asked, "Wait for what? I didn't say to stop the attack. Phoenix Cry Mountain has its own plan. I'm not an idiot. In the Divine Phoenix Army, Phoenix Cry Mountain is the most terrifying. Now that he wants to duel with me, you naturally have to take the opportunity to attack. With Sister Moon Maiden and the Demon Wine Sword, it shouldn't be difficult to destroy the Divine Phoenix Army, right?" Ling Xiao revealed a sinister smile. In fact, wasn't the reason why he wanted to duel with Phoenix Cry Mountain to restrain the strongest person in the other party's formation? "You're really cunning." The Moon Maiden shook her head and smiled bitterly. "All right, we'll do as you say. Inform Ancestor Changle and launch an attack at the same time. The order is for Ling Xiao to ascend Changle Peak." Ling Xiao didn't need to worry about what happened next. He spread his wings and soared into the sky, stepping onto the peak of Changle Peak. The moment he went up, he sensed that something was wrong. On Changle Peak, someone had already laid down layers of barriers. It was very similar to the 10,000 gate formation in the Dragon Slaying Forest. but it was even more exquisite. It seemed that in order to imitate Ling Xiao's use of these formations, the other party had already considered this point when setting up the formation, and all the formations were encrypted. Even if they wanted to break it, it would take a lot of time. They did not believe that Ling Xiao would be able to do this in the middle of a battle. Ling Xiao stood there and smiled faintly. This bunch of idiots, the one who usually broke these formations, was not him. It was his master. Master, whether we can leave this place alive today depends on you. Don't worry. In their opinion, this kind of formation is extremely complicated and encryption is extremely clever. However, in my opinion, this is just a child's trick that isn't worth mentioning at all. The Yuan Venerate had absolute confidence. He had once been the most outstanding alchemist and alchemist of the immortal court. Even if he had lost his physical body, but he hadn't lost his ability. That's good. I can concentrate on the battle. Feng Ming-Qishan stood opposite him, coldly looking at Ling Xiao. You really did come when I told you to. Others say that you are cautious and cunning, but in my eyes, you are extremely stupid. He said calmly, originally this trap was used to kill the Moon Lady and the demonic liquor sword. However, after thinking about it, I still feel that you're the key. As long as you're dead, those two won't be a big deal. As he spoke, Feng Ming-Qishan took out a refining formation stone and threw it to the side. A teleportation array had appeared there. 6 people stepped out from inside. Then the teleportation array disappeared. This sort of teleportation array was obviously a temporary array for short-distance teleportation. It was very unstable, and the distance was less than 100 meters. However, it was still very impressive to be able to set up such a teleportation array. These 6 people were obviously Yin-Yang realm powerhouses. Their auras were even stronger than the 20 assassins that had attacked him that night. Everyone says that Phoenix Cry, Qishan, is tyrannical and disdains scheming. It seems like this is a misunderstanding. In terms of scheming, you aren't inferior to Feng Yinshan. Ling Xiao still had a faint smile on his face as he looked at the 6 people. It's too late for you to realize this now. Although I can easily kill you by myself, you are too cunning. But you're too cunning, so I had no choice but to ask my friends to help me. As long as you die, your so-called Celestial Empire will definitely collapse. Phoenix Cry sneered. If you're afraid, then so be it. Why make it sound so dignified? Ling Xiao glanced at Phoenix Cry and Qishan before turning to the 6 people. That night, 20 Yin-Yang realm powerhouses tried to assassinate me. Did that have anything to do with you? Where are they? Among the 6 people, a red-clothed old man asked in a deep voice. From his tone, Ling Xiao could tell that the 20 people definitely had some kind of special connection with these 6 people, or they might have come from the same place. Kill them, Ling Xiao said indifferently. Their mouths are too tight. I only wanted to know who the mastermind behind them was, but they weren't willing to answer. I had no choice but to be ruthless. When the 6 people heard Ling Xiao's words, anger appeared on their faces. It was obvious that they were very angry. It seems like you guys are really together. I'm very curious. Who are you guys? Which faction are you from? Are you really martial artists from the Tianhai Empire? Ling Xiao was really curious. Which immortal of the White Tiger continent had he offended to actually want him dead? What's the point of asking so many questions for someone who is about to die? Feng Ming-Qishan sneered and said, Actually, your performance has already exceeded my expectations. I thought that after I took down the Immortal Island, I would have enough time to attack the Heavenly Empire. I didn't expect that you would take down the Black Crow Empire so easily. That bunch of trash is really useless. Very soon, you will also become the trash in your own words. And you guys, are you really not going to explain your origins? If you don't say it, you guys will become wandering ghosts like those 20 assassins. When you die, you won't even have a mourning ceremony. Ling Xiao's voice was as indifferent as before, and even carried a hint of ridicule. Ha 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 ha. Everyone says that you, Ling Xiao, are arrogant, but I didn't expect you to be arrogant to such an extent. Do you really think that with your cultivation you can actually kill us? Confidence is confidence. But if you are overconfident, then you are stupid. One of the 6 people laughed loudly. The rest of the people also revealed mocking smiles. They were really unable to understand where Ling Xiao's confidence came from. Feng Ming Qi Shan alone was enough to make Ling Xiao suffer, let alone with the 6 of them. Today, Ling Xiao was simply unable to escape calamity. Only a crazy person would say such words that did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Stupid? Then you guys can try. Ling Xiao shrugged and said, until now, you guys still haven't figured out my true cultivation, nor have you figured out what trump card I am relying on. You guys just rashly came to surround and kill me. I really don't know if you guys are stupid or if I am stupid. What trump card can you have? Feng Ming Qi Shan said disdainfully, your cultivation is at most at the first level of the yin-yang realm. Your trump card is nothing more than the primordial golden crow and primordial heavenly devil battle intent that you obtain from the sacred dynasty's immortal island. That is also your greatest trump card. I have already taken all of this into consideration. How can I not be cautious when dealing with a cunning guy like you? Ha ha ha, is that so? You really think so? Ling Xiao suddenly laughed loudly. Chapter 1610. Ling Xiao suddenly laughed out loud. As he laughed, a primordial golden crow and a primordial heavenly demon appeared behind him. Very soon, you will know what my true trump card is. Of course, that will depend on whether you have the ability to force me to use my final trump card. As Ling Xiao spoke, the white bones attached to his body and his strength began to rise. He had already broken through to the 2nd level of the yin-yang realm. After entering the state of hell physique, his strength doubled and reached the peak of the 3rd level of the yin-yang realm. With this cultivation, he could easily win against a 5th level of the yin-yang realm martial artist. Ling Xiao could easily kill opponents 2 levels higher than him. However, he would find it difficult to kill opponents 3 levels higher than him. Eye of the Tomb of the God of Gods, open! After doing this, Ling Xiao didn't stop. Although he was confident he wouldn't underestimate his opponents. It was obvious that the 6 people were at the 5th level of the yin-yang realm like Feng Ming Qi Shan, facing 7 5th level yin-yang realm experts, including Feng Ming Qi Shan. He would die a horrible death if he underestimated his opponents. Therefore, he planned to unleash all his potential today. He only left the sky, Tyrant martial soul. The door to the tomb of the God of Gods opened. The skeleton general let out a deep roar and walked out. Hundreds of skeleton soldiers followed behind him. The skeleton soldiers today weren't as weak as before. Every one of them was at the half-step yin-yang realm. If they were on the divine Phoenix continent, they could easily destroy any small nation. The skeleton general's strength was even more terrifying. It was at the 5th level of the yin-yang realm, and its strength was comparable to Feng Ming Qi Shan. 3-leaf demonic eyes, bronze giant demon. Ling Xiao continued to summon. Since Feng Ming Qi Shan could find helpers, why couldn't Ling Xiao summon helpers with his own strength? Boom! A giant demon landed in front of Ling Xiao. However, the giant demon's appearance was different from the ones Ling Xiao summoned before. It changed? It evolved like the skeleton general? Ling Xiao looked at the strange monster in front of him in astonishment. Even he couldn't recognize it. Honorable Master, your humble servant is called Bar in another world. He's a demon god who controls lightning. The monster actually spoke. Not only was Ling Xiao stunned, Feng Ming Qi Shan and the others were also stunned. Bar? Some memories surfaced in Ling Xiao's mind. Baal, King Solomon, was the demon god, ranked first among the 72 demon gods. He appeared in many different appearances, sometimes as a human, and sometimes as other forms. He spoke in a harsh voice. It was Jehovah's greatest enemy. In the legends, it held a giant hammer in its right hand and a ball of thunder in its left hand. It wore a conical crown with 2 horns on its head and thunder under its feet. He was the king who ruled the east. He controlled lightning and had the ability to make people invisible. This memory was a memory from another world. Bar was also summoned from another world. This guy's current strength was on par with the skeleton general, compared to the bronze giant demon from before. Although its appearance had changed greatly, its combat strength shouldn't have decreased. Very good. You're in charge of dealing with one of the 6 people. Ling Xiao ordered. Yes, master. Bar said respectfully, and then released the ball of thunder in its hand. The terrifying lightning struck the 6 of them. One of them was directly isolated. Skeleton General, you lead the skeleton corps to deal with 2 of the 6 people. Ling Xiao ordered again. The skeleton general did not know how to speak. It only let out a low roar, then rushed out and surrounded 2 of the people in the group to kill them. Immemorial Sky Fiend, Shadow Child. Fuse, you're in charge of one of them. Immemorial Golden Crow, Light Child. Fuse, you're in charge of one of them. In the blink of an eye, the 6th, 5th level Yin Yang realm experts were separated by Ling Xiao and faced their respective opponents. Only the red-robed powerhouse and Phoenix Cry Chi Shan were left. Butterfly Lady, I'll leave the red-robed fella to you. You don't have to defeat him. Just delay him. Ling Xiao woke up the slumbering Butterfly Lady. The Butterfly Lady's strength had also become more terrifying as Ling Xiao's cultivation base had increased. She wasn't any weaker than the red-robed powerhouse. However, Ling Xiao still didn't want the Butterfly Lady to fight the red-robed powerhouse to the death. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan, do you think you still have any advantages? Ling Xiao looked at Phoenix Cry Chi Shan mockingly. He had never released all his power before. This time, Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's horizons had been broadened. Such a battle would consume a lot of internal energy. After all, the summoned creatures, Shadow Child, and Light Child were all consuming his internal energy. However, given his vigorous internal energy, it shouldn't be a problem for him to sustain such a battle for an hour. An hour was enough for a Yuan Venerate to break through the array formation that was trapping him. Furthermore, he was also the most outstanding alchemist. How could he not have prepared elixirs for this trip to Changle Immortal Island? The elixirs that filled his storage ring were enough to last him another 2 to 3 hours. He didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to resolve the battle within these 2 to 3 hours. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's gaze was a little stiff. His originally confident and complacent expression had also become distorted. He had thought that he had already placed a lot of importance on Ling Xiao and had thought that he had already set up a flawless trap. However, the cruel reality before his eyes told him that Ling Xiao was even more ferocious than he had imagined. The combat strength displayed by this fellow really couldn't be measured purely by himself. Now, the only thing Phoenix Cry Chi Shan could hope for was that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to continue due to the large amount of internal energy he had expended. In any case, he had plenty of time. As long as the array formation wasn't broken, no one outside would be able to come in. In that case, the Moon Lady and the Wine Demon Sword wouldn't be able to participate in such a battle. He could only win this battle. He couldn't afford to lose. If he failed, he would completely lose the opportunity to turn the situation around. As he thought of this, a sense of powerlessness and fear arose in his heart. Why didn't he kill Ling Xiao earlier? He hated himself for underestimating Ling Xiao. If he had killed Ling Xiao at that time, there definitely wouldn't have been such an awkward situation today. The battle had already begun. The aura within the barrier became manic, and all sorts of crazy auras were constantly colliding. In the empty space of less than 100 square meters, 5 battle circles were formed. The auras intertwined with each other, shattering the snow and ice on the mountaintop. Without a doubt, the helpers that Phoenix Cry Qishan had invited were extremely powerful. However, the power released by Ling Xiao wasn't weak either. This kind of battle would probably be in a stalemate for a long time. At this moment, Phoenix Cry Qishan saw many figures appear on the mountain peak. The Moon Lady, the Wine Demon Sword, the Everlasting Joy Ancestor, Dan Feng, MOU, Zhu Wen, Zhu Xiaotsong, the Vermilion Bird Clan Patriarch, and the Thunder Eagle Clan Patriarch were all there. However, there was no trace of the Black and White Elders. Chapter 1611. Phoenix Cry Qishan's expression was gloomy, and he was confused. He did not understand why the Moon Maiden and the others were here. What happened below? There's no need to look. Your Divine Phoenix army has already collapsed. 70% of them were killed, and the remaining 30% chose to side with the Black and White Elders imprisoned. Only you are left. Outside the barrier, the Everlasting Joy Ancestor said coldly, I didn't expect the Celestial Emperor Phoenix, Cry Qishan, to do such a despicable thing. He hired so many experts to kill Ling Xiao. While the Everlasting Joy Ancestor was cursing Phoenix Cry Qishan, he was also shocked by Ling Xiao's response. What a terrifying young man. He fought against 7 5th-level Yin-Yang realm experts by himself. How terrifying was his strength. Even the Wine Demon Sword and the Moon Maiden were shocked. I always thought that I would be able to protect him for a long time. I didn't expect him to catch up to me. The Moon Maiden sighed and clenched her hands together. Although she did not show any emotions on the surface, she knew that she had to work harder. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would surpass her in a short period of time. At that time, it would be impossible for her to protect Ling Xiao. Although she had once said that she hoped to be protected and loved by Ling Xiao, it was just a casual remark. She knew very well that once she became a burden, she would not want to be by Ling Xiao's side anymore, because she was afraid of being a burden to Ling Xiao. Compared to her, the Wine Demon Sword was even more shocked. The Wine Demon Sword had used more than 30 years to cultivate to his current level. He originally thought that he would need at least 10 years before he could use Ling Xiao. However, it had not even been a year since he first met Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had already shown a shocking improvement. This kid was truly terrifying. Give him another year and his cultivation will definitely surpass mine. This is a true genius, a genius that has escaped the control of the mystic world's laws. A gratified smile appeared on the Wine Demon Sword's face. In order to find such a person, he had waited for a long time. Now he had finally found him, and his beloved woman could be saved. In stark contrast to his smiling face, Feng Ming was shocked at Qishan. The battle at the top of the mountain continued. Not only did Ling Xiao not look exhausted at all, but his helpers became even more ferocious as they fought and suppressed the 6 5th-level Yin-Yang realm experts. However, things were not over yet. Eye of the Sage Monarch. Ling Xiao once again displayed a move that increased the strength of his side. In the sky, a white figure was constantly releasing white telekinesis. Ling Xiao's helpers, who were enveloped by the telekinesis, had their combat strength increased. As time passed, Ling Xiao's advantage grew larger and larger. Feng Ming Qishan's expression became increasingly unsightly. Now that his army had been destroyed, his only hope was the final battle at the summit of Chang'e. If he won, he could turn the situation around, but if he lost, he would suffer a crushing defeat. However, he felt more and more uneasy in his heart. The shadow of failure was like a maggot that wrapped around his entire soul, causing him unbearable pain. He knew that he could no longer watch and had to join the battle. Otherwise, everything would be over. Waiting for Ling Xiao to exhaust his strength? That was basically impossible. Kill! Feng Ming Qishan released a tyrannical aura. The blood of the divine phoenix flowed in his body, and a pair of red and blue wings appeared on his back. I didn't expect you to be a mixed blood. Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment. Feng Mingqishan was actually the child of the Fire Phoenix tribe and the Ice Phoenix tribe. This was simply an accident, because in the Divine Phoenix Empire, the Fire Phoenix tribe, the Ice Phoenix tribe, and the Dark Phoenix tribe were absolutely not allowed to intermarry. That's right. My father was from the Ice Phoenix tribe, and my mother was from the Fire Phoenix tribe, but they were forced to death by the two tribes. This has also become the motivation for my growth. Feng Mingqishan looked coldly at Ling Xiao as he spoke loudly. Then you're really trash. You're already so powerful, but you didn't avenge your parents. Instead, you became an existence worse than those two tribes. Ling Xiao pursed his lips and said, "Don't even think about participating in today's battle. Just obediently watch from the side and see how the 6 experts you brought die." After speaking, Ling Xiao suddenly tossed out a formation refining stone. Feng Mingqishan was instantly trapped by the formation. It was already impossible for him to leave. That's the 10,000 gate formation. It's impossible for a 5th level yin-yang realm martial artist to destroy it. You've already seen its power in the Killing Dragon Forest. Ling Xiao suddenly revealed a mocking smile and said, "I originally planned to have a one-on-one battle with you, but your shamelessness has already made me lose the idea of a fair battle. I want you to watch your hopes shatter without being able to do anything about it. I don't care who those 6 people are. They must die. Ling Xiao, don't say that you can't kill them. If you really kill them, don't even think about taking a step into the White Tiger continent. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death." Feng Mingqishan said with a gloomy expression. The divine envoy of the Tianhai Empire said the same thing before he was killed. "Haha, do you really think I'm afraid?" Ling Xiao looked at Feng Mingqishan domineeringly, just like how Feng Mingqishan looked at Ling Xiao domineeringly in the past. Back then, even when Ling Xiao led troops into the imperial capital and rescued Jining, Feng Mingqishan did not take Ling Xiao seriously. At that time, Feng Mingqishan only saw Ling Xiao as a chess piece of Feng Yinshan, a chess piece that could be eliminated at any time. Even after the battle in the dragon-slaying forest, Feng Mingqishan still thought that he had defeated Feng Yinshan and that Feng Yinshan's chess piece was not worth mentioning. However, today, Feng Mingqishan realized that the one who was being treated as a chess piece was not Ling Xiao, but Feng Yinshan. Every dog has its day. Things in the world changed too quickly, so quickly that it was hard for people to adapt. Ling Xiao, who had been ignored by him not long ago, was now looking down on him. Ling Xiao no longer looked at Feng Mingqishan. After using the 10,000 gate formation to trap Feng Mingqishan, he began to think of ways to eliminate the 6th level yin-yang realm experts. Not only did these 6 experts possess powerful weapon-type martial souls, but they also possessed powerful bloodline power. The Wolf Clan, the Tiger Clan, the Silver Fox Clan, the Alligator Clan, the Ice Phoenix Clan, and the Fiery Phoenix Clan. 6 people, 6 different types of bloodline power. This made Ling Xiao unable to determine their identities based on their martial souls and bloodline power. These 6 people's martial souls were all sword martial souls, and the weapons in their hands were all swords. Moreover, their realms had all reached the heavy sword edgeless level. This level was not inferior to Ling Xiao's. The most terrifying thing was that these 5 people were actually able to become one with the sword. This level of swordsman was probably rare even in the White Tiger continent. What kind of power did they come from? Who was it that could gather all the martial artists from the 6 major clans? Chapter 1612. Ling Xiao's suspicions grew, and his curiosity grew. He suddenly smiled and charged towards a martial artist who was fighting with the skeleton general. These 6 people were indeed powerful, but they were different from the previous 20 assassins. An assassin's heart was tough. Even in death, they would not admit defeat and reveal the mastermind. However, these 6 people were different. Although they were powerful, they were not assassins. They might not have such strong beliefs, They were unwilling to reveal the mastermind because they did not see the threat of death. Ling Xiao believed that the more powerful a martial artist was, the more afraid they were of death. This was because once they died, all their efforts would go down the drain. Sword Spirit's Eye Massacre Sword. Suddenly, a cold sword of slaughter appeared in his hand, exuding a terrifying killing intent. This killing intent was not released carelessly. Instead, it was like a sharp blade that directly pierced towards the martialist who was fighting the skeleton general. It carried an incomparably powerful slaughter sword intent and a terrifying soul deterrence. The skeleton general felt Ling Xiao's will and stabbed out with the rusty long spear in his hand. A loud boom pierced through the void. There were bursts of explosions. The terrifying pressure forced the level 5 Yin-Yang realm martial artist to defend with all his might. None of the 6 dared to relax in the face of the skeleton general. Slacking off meant death. Beautiful! Ling Xiao praised in his heart. Although the skeleton general could not speak, it was connected to his soul. With just a thought, the skeleton general knew what he was going to do and did what he was most satisfied with. The level 5 Yin-Yang realm martial artist defended against the skeleton general's attack with all his might. However, he was caught off guard. Suddenly, a terrifying massacre sword intent pierced his soul ocean and left a terrifying shadow of death in his soul. His body trembled as he tried to escape. However, the white bones that extended from the ground trapped him and did not give him any chance to escape. Ling Xiao's figure appeared beside him. Only a pair of scarlet eyes could be seen from the body of hell. It looked so terrifying and terrifying. The cold blade was placed across the martial artist's neck. The chilliness penetrated to the bone. The 5th level Yin-Yang realm martial artist was like a shrimp on a chopping board. He did not have any ability to fight back. No matter how he moved, Ling Xiao's sword could easily end his life. His originally calm and arrogant face was now filled with fear and cowardice. For the first time, he felt that he was so close to death. His life was actually in the hands of someone he looked down on. If you want to live, tell me who your master is. Ling Xiao's white, bony palm gently patted the warrior's shoulder as he spoke in a low and threatening voice. The martial artist gulped down a mouthful of saliva. He knew that if he answered even a single wrong word, his head would be separated from his body. If I tell you, will you really let me live? The warrior asked cautiously, although he was afraid of the mastermind behind this. Right now, Ling Xiao was the biggest threat to him, because Ling Xiao only needed to move a finger and his life would be gone. What good will it do me to kill you? Ling Xiao said disdainfully, look at the people standing outside. The Great Rock Tribe's patriarch, the Peacock Tribe's patriarch, the Vermilion Bird Tribe's patriarch, and the Thunderhawk Tribe's patriarch. They all submitted to me. In the past, we were like fire and water. Aren't we working well together now? So be smart. You only have one life. Don't make a stupid choice. The warrior gulped again. He was at the 5th level Yin-Yang realm. Even in the White Tiger continent, he was definitely considered a powerhouse. In the Divine Phoenix continent and the Sky Dragon continent, he was definitely the strongest. If he were to die so casually, it would not be worth it. I'll tell you everything I know. In the end, the cultivator still chose to submit under Ling Xiao's ice-cold blade. Compared to loyalty, he chose to live. It seemed that this was very common in the mystic world. It was not strange at all. Very good. You're a smart person. You've made a smart choice. Ling Xiao nodded in satisfaction and waited for the other party to tell him the answer he wanted to know. However, at that moment, he suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. Ling Xiao did not think too much. He turned into a stream of light and dodged the attack at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. Phoenix Cry Qishan! Ling Xiao frowned. Phoenix Cry Qishan had escaped from the 10,000 Gate formation. This made him extremely surprised. Ling Xiao, you're very powerful. I have to admit that. However, I'm stronger than you." The powerful aura continued to rise. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's body began to undergo a strange change. His body was filled with blue and red energy, and then merged. The powerful power of the divine Phoenix bloodline was completely unleashed. His entire being transformed into a strange, dual-colored divine phoenix. The aura of ice and fire spread throughout his body. No! Even if you control the Ice Phoenix and Fire Phoenix bloodline, you can't break the 10,000 gate formation. Ling Xiao shook his head. He was very confident in the 10,000 gate formation. And Phoenix Cry Chi Shan was not an array expert. The possibility of him breaking the array was almost zero. This guy must have an unexpected power. Just as Ling Xiao was puzzled, a loud dragon roar came from behind Phoenix Cry Chi Shan. A 5-colored divine dragon was circling behind him, staring at Ling Xiao coldly. 5-colored divine dragon. So you have the 5 elements dragon soul of the ancient 5 elements dragon. No wonder. The primordial 5 elements dragon controlled the 5 elements, and the 10,000 gate formation was an array formation formed by interweaving various elements. It seemed complicated and confusing, but in reality it was just elemental magic. With the 5 elements dragon soul, breaking this 10,000 gate formation was too easy. You have the divine Phoenix bloodline and the 5 elements dragon soul. No wonder you are so powerful. Ling Xiao looked at Phoenix Cry Chi Shan. Not only was he not afraid, but he was also excited. In the past few days, although the battles were intense, they were relatively easy, making Ling Xiao not even the slightest bit of interest. Today, there was finally a guy who could make him use his true ability. Facing Phoenix Cry Chi Shan, Ling Xiao only had a 30% chance of winning if he did not use the Tyrant Sky Martial Spirit. Even if he used the Tyrant Sky Martial Spirit, it was only 50%. He was a genius. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan was also a genius. The battle between the two geniuses was exciting just thinking about it. You can still laugh? Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's domineering aura was once again displayed. It was as domineering as when he ignored everyone in the Killing Dragon Forest. Behind him, a figure wearing blood-red armor and holding a blood-red blade appeared again. This was the powerful martial spirit that Phoenix Cry Chi Shan had displayed to everyone in the Killing Dragon Forest, the 12 immortal killing god, White Blade Martial Spirit. Twin Martial Spirits. Chapter 1613. Twin Martial Souls, and one is the ancient 5 elements dragon soul, and the other is the 12 immortal killing god, White Blade Martial Soul. How did you get these 2 martial souls? Ling Xiao was really shocked. One had to know that in the profound world, it was already very rare for a martial artist to obtain an ancient dragon soul or a 12 immortal martial soul. But this guy actually had 2 top martial souls at the same time. Phoenix Cry Chi Mountain was truly frightening. It was indeed terrifying. Are you afraid now? Unfortunately, it's already too late. You actually dared to destroy my divine Phoenix Empire and kill the Tianhai Empire's sacred envoy. Do you know that you have already committed an unforgivable crime? Feng Ming Chi Shan's voice was cold and overbearing, as if he had already controlled Ling Xiao's life and death. Didn't you also want to destroy my heavenly empire? I just made the first move to gain the upper hand. As for the Tianhai Empire's sacred envoy, they deserve to die. Ling Xiao also had things that he regretted, but he definitely didn't regret these 2 things. The Tianhai Empire's sacred envoy actually tried to collude with the Water God Shrine's martial artist to kill him, and even wanted to destroy his heavenly empire. If he was given another choice, he would still kill. As for the divine Phoenix Empire, after Feng Ming Chi Shan forcefully took over the position of emperor, this country had already completely decayed. Furthermore, he had long seen through Feng Ming Chi Shan's intentions. If he didn't destroy the divine Phoenix Empire, Feng Ming Qishan would destroy his heavenly empire. He, Ling Xiao, was never a person who would wait for death. He couldn't just watch as others came to kill him before resisting. Since there was a chance, he had to make the first move. It seems that even at death's door, you still don't know how to repent. Feng Ming Qishan's eyes revealed a cold killing intent, as if it could instantly shatter the ice and snow at the top of Changle City. Don't know how to repent. Ling Xiao chuckled. Maybe. Since you're so confident, why don't you tell me the identities of those 6 people before I die? Where did they come from? And who is supporting you from behind? In his opinion, Feng Ming Qishan, who should have been executed by the Ice Phoenix clan and the Fire Phoenix clan, actually survived. He even became the crown prince and grew to such a terrifying extent. Without the behind-the-scenes cultivator, it was impossible. Even Ling Xiao had the support of the Moon Maiden. It was simply too difficult for a person to truly step into a new world in this profound world. Don't worry. When you're still breathing, I'll tell you. I'm not an unreasonable person. I won't let you become a confused ghost, because after becoming a ghost, you also need to know who you have offended. Otherwise, in the underworld, you will also die in a daze like today. Feng Ming Qishan chuckled. Of course. There was someone supporting him from behind. Otherwise, with his strength, how could he fight against Feng Ming Wuliang? How could he fight with Feng Ming Xiao? How could he fight against Feng Yinshan? Including the 20 assassins and the 6 experts, they all came from the same place. That sacred and powerful place. What was laughable was that the various major powers of the divine Phoenix continent were fighting each other to the death. Yet they did not know that their battles were merely chess pieces casually manipulated by others. Haha, after talking for so long, you still don't have the confidence to kill me. That's why you don't dare to tell me who's behind you. Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully. Could it be that the powerful force behind you is actually afraid of me? Afraid that I'll seek revenge? Even when facing such a powerful Feng Ming Qishan, Ling Xiao did not have the slightest intention of showing weakness. Not to mention that he still had a 50% chance of defeating Feng Ming Qishan. Even if there was only a 10% chance, with his personality, he would not show weakness. Furthermore, other than the Sky Tyrant martial soul, he still had a trump card that he had not used. At the moment of life and death, he naturally would not hesitate. Therefore, in today's battle, it was hard to predict who would win and who would lose. Why should he be afraid? He no longer paid attention to Feng Ming Qishan. Instead, he looked at the 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist that he was holding hostage under his sword. Although Ling Xiao had dodged Feng Ming Qishan's attack, he had only circled around on the spot. The sword in his hand did not leave the martial artist's neck for even half an inch. He also did not cut in half an inch because of panic. If he doesn't say it, you tell me. Ling Xiao stared at the martial artist and said with a faint smile. The martial artist's expression became very ugly. He had already planned to surrender to Ling Xiao, but the terrifying strength that Feng Ming Qishan suddenly unleashed made him feel fearful again. He was really like a rat in a bellows now, being bullied by both sides. It was not right to answer, but it was also not right not to answer. Even if you die, you're still a hero. I'll use Ling Xiao's head as a sacrifice to you, and I'll take good care of your descendants. I'll definitely let them become talents. Feng Ming Qishan looked indifferently at the 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist. He had no intention of saving him. He was very strong, but Ling Xiao was not weak either. If he went to save this person, he would be in a passive position, and his advantage would be gone. Therefore, he definitely would not save him. His words clearly contained a threat. Ling Xiao could kill, but he could slaughter this martial artist's entire family. This martial artist should be very clear on how to choose. What a vicious mind, what a vicious heart. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I really admire you. Unfortunately, I'm not a kind person either. Listen, if you don't tell me the truth today, not only will I kill you immediately, but I'll also go to the White Tiger continent, find your descendants, and kill them all. Do you believe me, or Feng Ming Qishan? Your Majesty, That martial artist originally planned to die heroically, but when he heard this, he retreated again. He also knew how cruel Ling Xiao was. If he really said that he would kill his entire family, then he might really do it. What are you panicking for? If he dares to kill you today, I'll kill him and destroy his heavenly empire. How can he have the chance to kill your family? Feng Ming Qishan said coldly. That martial artist looked at Ling Xiao again and fell into a dilemma. Believe me or believe him. Choose for yourself. Ling Xiao didn't waste any more words. He had already said what he needed to say. In any case, there were still 5 people. Even if this person died, he could still find out from others. This person was not a necessary choice. I don't have much time. I'll only give you 5 breaths of time. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He couldn't afford to delay. He didn't want to waste time. Feng Ming Qishan also did not say anything. He only looked at that martial artist indifferently, his eyes revealing a threatening look. Time gradually passed. Ling Xiao sighed softly and said, 5 breaths have already passed. It seems that you have chosen to believe in Feng Ming Qishan. I suddenly don't want to kill you anymore. I will only cripple you now, and then let you see how the Feng Ming Qishan that you believe in dies. Putting away the slaughter sword, Ling Xiao's hand directly grabbed into the martial artist's body. Chapter 1614. Ling Xiao's white bone claws clawed into the warrior's body. A terrifying dark power was released, and the warrior instantly became a cripple, a complete and utter piece of trash. A 5th-level yin-yang realm cultivator was even worse than an ordinary person. Just watch from the side and then die in pain and despair. This is the price you have to pay for going against me. Ling Xiao casually threw the warrior out, and a group of skeleton soldiers immediately protected him. This person couldn't die for the time being. If he died like this, wouldn't it be too easy for him? Maybe what he sees is your miserable death. Even if he is crippled, it won't be a loss. Feng Ming Qishan looked at Ling Xiao expressionlessly. Suddenly, a terrifying aura was completely aimed at Ling Xiao and was released crazily. Since I dare to step onto the peak of Changle City, I won't be afraid of you, Feng Ming Qishan. Ling Xiao smiled coldly, and 2 swords hung above his head. One was the divine light sword, and the other was the dark devil sword. Then, the sword spirits, I released the sword of destruction, together with the sword of slaughter from before. Fuse! Sword of destruction, sword of darkness. Facing Feng Ming Qishan, Ling Xiao didn't dare to be careless. He wanted to use his strongest power to fight it out with him. Therefore, it wasn't over yet. The 3rd sword hung above Ling Xiao's head. Human King's sword. Then, the sword spirits, I released an immortal sword. Fuse again. Immortal Human King's sword. This was Ling Xiao's most powerful weapon at the moment. He held the sword of destruction and sword of darkness in both hands, and the immortal Human King's sword above his head. The 3 swords were aimed at Feng Ming Qishan, emitting a terrifying aura. Feng Ming Qishan frowned slightly. He also felt the terrifying aura of the 3 swords. However, soon after, he revealed a cold smile. So what if you have 3 swords? Even if you have 10 swords, you still can't beat me today. Feng Ming Qishan sneered, and the killing god's white blade martial soul behind him let out a low cry. Then his body exploded with a shocking killing aura. The murderous aura in his hand condensed into a real blade that was visible to the naked eye. It was a blood-red weapon. It was as if fresh blood was dripping down, giving off an aura of death and slaughter. It was quite terrifying. Kill! Feng Ming Qishan roared, and with a blood-red blade in his hand, he had already rushed in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold, and there was no expression on his face. At that moment, the sharp blades in his hands suddenly released an astonishing sword will. In the void, Two huge sword rays appeared, one black and one white, swallowed and spat out, piercing towards Phoenix Cry Chi Mountain. The sword light pierced through the void, emitting an ear-piercing, whistling sound. Many people outside the array formation could not help but cover their ears. Duo. That guy's sword is getting more and more terrifying. The liquor demon, Sword muttered. He was a swordsman, so he could naturally sense how terrifying Ling Xiao's terrifying sword intent was. Clang! Clang! The black and white two-colored sword beam was blocked by the blood-red sword blade of Phoenix Cry Chi, emitting the sound of metal clashing. Those two sword beams actually shattered in an instant. However, the blood-red sword blade seemed to have suffered heavy injuries. It lost its killing intent, and its light changed. It became weak. Ling Xiao seemed to be waiting for this moment. The Immortal King's sword hanging above his head suddenly released a purple sword light and pierced out. It was very difficult for others to control 3 swords at the same time. It was even more impossible to use 3 swords to perform 3 moves at the same time. But he, Ling Xiao, had no problem. If someone could see the soul, they would discover that the Immortal King's sword was actually held in the hands of the Gemini martial spirit. And the Gemini martial spirit was controlled by Ling Xiao's origin spirit. It was basically no different from Ling Xiao's arm, except that it was more flexible and free. When Feng Ming Qishan saw the purple sword attacking him, he couldn't help but frown. He had seen Ling Xiao's black and white swords a long time ago, so he was fearless. Moreover, in the previous attack he had the upper hand. However, this was the first time he had seen the Immortal King's sword. Even when he killed Long Lin, Ling Xiao only used the Human King's sword and did not fuse with the Immortal Sword. Naturally, its power was not as strong as it was today. 5 elements, dragon, soul, rock wall. He was about to be pierced by the purple sword light. The ancient 5 elements dragon behind Feng Ming Qishan let out a loud dragon roar. Then the earth shook and the ground suddenly rose, forming a thick rock wall in front of Feng Ming Qishan. The rock wall blocked the purple sword light. However, it was only for a moment. The immortal sword was forever immortal. The sword intent would not be consumed in the air, nor would it be consumed in battle. However, the rock wall would eventually be damaged. Chila! The purple sword light finally pierced through the thick rock wall and shot towards Feng Ming Qishan with an unstoppable momentum. However, this momentary block still gave Feng Ming Qishan a chance to regain his momentum. Break! Feng Ming Qishan snorted coldly, and the blood-red blade in his hand once again exploded with light. Behind him, the killing god White Blade martial spirit roared and released a terrifying power. The huge blood-red blade fiercely struck out. It collided with the purple sword light. Kacha! Finally, the purple sword light completely shattered, turning into specks of purple light that scattered on the ground. Immortal sword intent, Immortal King! Can you break it? Ling Xiao's voice sounded in the air. The sword light that should have been shattered actually condensed once again, and then once again charged towards Feng Ming Qishan. At the same time, Ling Xiao also charged forward with his sword in hand. 3 sword lights surrounded Feng Ming Qishan and continuously stabbed out. Although Feng Ming Qishan was powerful, he couldn't find a good way to break out of this situation. After all, in terms of speed and ingenious use of moves, Feng Ming Qishan couldn't compare to Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao opened his Taiji eye, and everything was under his control, under his precise calculations. Unless Feng Ming Qishan had some special move that could instantly explode, otherwise he was afraid that he would fall today. How annoying! 5 elements, dragon soul, fiery blaze. Feng Ming Qishan roared angrily. The ancient 5 elements, dragon roared again, and terrifying flames formed a ball around his body. The fire dragon blocked all of Ling Xiao's sword lights. Endless rumbling sounds erupted. However, although this move was powerful and could block Ling Xiao's attack, it was unable to repel Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's sword light continued to be released. The black sword light was filled with killing intent. Every single one of them caused Feng Mingqishan to feel a piercing pain in his body. The shadow of death in his heart was also constantly intensifying. The white sword light was filled with destruction. Every single one of them could destroy Feng Mingqishan's spewing fire dragon. Destroy everything, destroy everything. The purple sword light was immortal and indestructible. This was the most difficult sword light to deal with. It seemed to be impossible to destroy, forever like a maggot in one's bones, causing one's heart to tremble in fear. 3 sword lights, 3 different effects. Although Feng Mingqishan had a lot of ability, it was still very difficult for him to deal with it. Facing Ling Xiao's exquisite ability to grasp timing, he was now suppressed. Chapter 16:15. You can't do it? There's more to come. Ling Xiao sneered and released the dark sword domain. A terrifying aura spread out once again. Logically speaking, after a martial artist broke through to the Yin-Yang realm, they would automatically give up on their domain. Something like a domain was very useful in the Grotto Heaven realm, but in the Yin-Yang realm, it was almost useless. It was a pity to give it up and tasteless. Not only did it waste a lot of internal energy, it was also not as powerful as expected. However, Ling Xiao did not intend to give up. His advantage was that he had abundant internal energy and powerful soul force. Moreover, Ling Xiao discovered a secret. A domain could actually evolve in the hands of a Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Combined with the comprehension of the 18 levels of hell and the fusion of the array, it could produce unexpected results. And this was probably something that only Ling Xiao could do in the entire divine Phoenix continent. No one else could. Yin-Yang realm, dark sword domain. Ling Xiao, have you been kicked in the head by a donkey? You actually want to use a domain that only a Grotto Heaven realm martial artist would treat as a treasure to deal with me? Could it be that you have too much internal energy and feel that it's fine to waste some? Seeing Ling Xiao release the dark sword domain, Phoenix Cry-Chi-Shan was not nervous. Instead, he laughed. He hoped that Ling Xiao would be like this. If he spent a lot of internal energy on useless attacks, then he would definitely not be able to do it in the future. Outside the barrier, many martial artists did not understand the meaning of Ling Xiao's actions. But out of their trust in Ling Xiao, they still wanted to see what was going on. Ling Xiao had always been a maverick who stood out from the masses. Who could be sure that he wouldn't be able to create an attack that was completely different from others? In the next moment, Phoenix Cry-Chi-Shan's expression darkened. At the same time, his eyes revealed shock. No, your domain is strange. As he continued to attack, his brows furrowed even more. You finally saw it. A domain that is useless to a Yin-Yang realm martial artist can have a new lease of life in my hands. I'm not afraid to tell you that this dark sword domain has fused with the Black Hell Ghost Sword formation that I comprehended in the Hell of Tongues. In the tongue-ripping hell, the terrifying hell scissors could cut off the tongues of any Yin-Yang realm martial artist, rendering them unable to speak. My Dark Hell Ghost Sword formation can transform all the sword lights in the dark sword domain into ghost swords that are like the scissors of hell. Not only was its lethality greatly increased, but it could also continuously absorb energy from the hell of tongue ripping. Do you think I will waste my inner energy? As he spoke, a large door opened in the sky. The words tongue-pulling hell were clearly written on the door. Black energy continued to be released from the door and fused into the dark sword domain. This caused all the sword lights in the dark sword domain to turn black, giving off an aura of death. With the formation of the Dark Hell Ghost Sword formation, the power of the dark sword domain increased greatly. The sword light continued to swallow and spit out, turning into countless black sword shadows that attacked Phoenix Cry Chi Shan. It was as if there was no end to it. Immediately, Phoenix Cry Chi Shan felt extremely strained. What was a formation? A formation borrowed the power of heaven and earth to increase the power of attack or defense. Once the formation was activated, unless one could break it, even if one's strength was stronger, one would still be at a loss when facing the formation. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's immemorial 5 elements dragon soul could control the power of the 5 elements. However, hell was not part of the 5 elements. It jumped out of the 5 elements. Therefore, if he wanted to break this formation, it was simply a fool's dream. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan, I told you before, you will definitely lose today's battle. You have a trump card, but do you have more trump cards than me? How ignorant! Ling Xiao stood outside the dark sword domain and coldly looked at Phoenix Cry Chi Shan, who was constantly being attacked by the black sword lights, and said indifferently. Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's face was ashen. After releasing the immemorial 5 elements dragon soul and the killing god's white blade martial spirit, he had been domineering and arrogant. He felt that he could control everything and that victory was within his grasp. It was as if he could take Ling Xiao's life away at any time. Not only Ling Xiao, even the people who were watching the show outside were treated as dead people by him. Although he was defeated outside, as long as he won this battle, he would still be the supreme emperor of the divine Phoenix continent. However, at this moment, he felt an intense depression and embarrassment. After attacking for a long time, he did not hurt Ling Xiao in the slightest. Instead, he was trapped by someone else's domain that he called chicken ribs. This was really a strong irony. No, strength is absolute. Watch me break your bullshit formation. With a roar, the immemorial 5 elements dragon and the killing god's white blade behind Phoenix Cry Chi Shan lit up at the same time. A powerful aura completely condensed on Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's body. He roared, and the blood-red weapon in his hand actually merged with yellow, green, black, blue, and red, the 5 colors that represented the power of the 5 elements. The power was completely released in an instant. The space in the dark sword domain almost collapsed at one point. The black sword lights that were attacking him shattered one after another, turning into dots of black light that scattered on the ground. Blood splattered everywhere. Terrifying blood-red light was constantly released, crazily attacking Ling Xiao's dark sword domain in all directions. One had to admit that Phoenix Cry Chi Shan was really strong, if not for the integration of the dark hell ghost sword formation. This dark sword domain would have been easily broken by Phoenix Cry Chi Shan. Even at this time, protrusions continued to appear on the surface of the dark sword domain, as if it could be pierced through at any time. Rumbling sounds continued to ring out. All the black sword lights seemed to have lost their ability to resist, and when they touched the blood-red sword chi, they instantly shattered. They were no longer able to cause any harm to Phoenix Cry Chi Shan. However, Ling Xiao's face was as cold as ever. Tongue-pulling hell, power of lies, condense black sword. A cold voice came out of Ling Xiao's mouth. The black sword lights actually gradually retreated, and then some strange runes were released from the tongue-pulling hell. These runes were the power of lies of the tongue-pulling hell. It was rumored that the tongue-pulling hell was used to imprison those who were full of lies. And this kind of lie was also a kind of energy, the power of lies. As these runes merged into the dark sword domain, the original sword light began to condense and actually turned into a physical entity. Chi. The dark sword domain once again erupted with a terrifying attack. This time, it was no longer sword light, but a true ghost sword. It was a ghost sword condensed from the power of lies. Even the people outside the barrier could clearly feel the terrifying lethality of these black ghost swords. It was as if the hell scissors had been summoned from the tongue-pulling hell. Feng Ming Chi Shan's expression suddenly changed. The stronger one was, the more one could sense danger. He understood very well what these black ghost swords meant. They were definitely not as easy to deal with as the sword light just now. Chapter 16:16. This Ling Xiao was really terrifying. He was not weak and was proficient in formations. Furthermore, this array formation allowed Ling Xiao's strength to become even more powerful. This was probably the final trump card that Ling Xiao was talking about. Fury of ice and fire. Phoenix Cry Qishan, who was in the form of a divine phoenix, suddenly unleashed two streams of intertwined power of ice and fire towards the countless black ghost swords. However, after a fierce collision, the effect was negligible. Although Phoenix Cry Qishan blocked the attack of the black ghost swords, he could not do anything about the dark sword region. He originally thought that he could easily kill Ling Xiao after breaking free from the 10,000 gate formation. However, he was trapped by Ling Xiao again. He was really vexed to be trapped by the same person twice in a battle. Take your time to break the formation. I'll go and take the lives of those 5 fellows first. Ling Xiao suddenly sneered and turned to look at the 5 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artists who were fighting with the summoned creatures and helpers. His original plan was to trap Phoenix, Cry Qishan, and kill these people first. However, he did not expect Phoenix, Cry Qishan to break the 10,000 gate formation, so his plan was delayed for a moment. However, overall, it did not affect him much. Now, Phoenix Cry Qishan was trapped by him again, and this process took less than a quarter of an hour. His hell physique could still last for a long time. At the very least, it was not a problem for him to kill the 5 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artists from the White Tiger mainland. The 5 of them were much weaker than Phoenix Cry Qishan. In addition, they were already in a fierce battle. Ling Xiao only wanted to kill them, just like how he crippled the martial artist who was unwilling to speak. It's over. None of the 5 of them will survive. Outside the barrier, everyone had the same thought. Phoenix Cry Qishan led 6 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artists to set a trap here in an attempt to kill Ling Xiao. However, the transportation formation was one way. In other words, they did not leave a way out for themselves. Because including these 6 people, as well as Feng Ming Qishan, they all felt that with their lineup, killing Ling Xiao would be an easy task. But now, it seemed that the situation had completely reversed. It wasn't them who killed Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao who killed them. This huge contrast made them unable to believe the reality in front of them. Die. Ling Xiao didn't have the time to wait for them to reflect on life and regret. In order to not consume too much of his internal energy, he had already removed the immortal human king sword and the sword of light destruction. All that was left was the dark slaughter sword. A cold killing intent instantly swept across a warrior's neck. Without any resistance, the bastard died on the spot. Son of Light, immemorial golden crow, come back! Ling Xiao had a plan when he killed his enemies. Releasing the Child of Light and the primordial golden crow outside would continuously consume his internal energy, so eliminating their opponents as soon as possible was the best choice. He really is dead. Outside the barrier, the people who saw this scene weren't surprised at all. In fact, the moment Ling Xiao trapped Feng Ming Qishan, they had already developed an almost blind admiration and trust for Ling Xiao. He wasn't even afraid of Feng Ming Qishan, so the remaining 5 Yin-Yang realm 5th-level martial artists were not worth mentioning in his eyes. Ling Xiao didn't stop after killing one person. His figure disappeared into the darkness, and after a while the martial artist who was fighting with the Child of Shadow was directly split open from the back. He died on the spot. Child of Shadow, immemorial divine demon, retrieve! Ling Xiao's figure appeared again. Although there were beads of sweat dripping from his forehead, there was a satisfied smile on his face. The Shadow immemorial divine demon, formed by the fusion of the Child of Shadow and the immemorial divine demon, was still very powerful. Just like the immemorial golden crow, it had already left many wounds on their opponents. The reason why he killed them so easily was because of their powerful combat strength. After killing the second martial artist, Ling Xiao directly took out a handful of pills and swallowed them. These pills were originally used by Grotto Heaven realm martial artists, and Ling Xiao had refined them in the past. Although they could recover the Yin-Yang realm martial artists' Yin-Yang origin energy, the effect was very poor, and they had to be consumed in large quantities. However, such an elixir was incomparably precious in the eyes of the warriors outside the boundary. Yet, Ling Xiao ate them in large mouthfuls. What a waste of God's gift! This guy is wasting the first place. The Moon Maiden shook her head and smiled bitterly. It's none of our business how he wastes his things, but his enemies will be in trouble. The Wine Demon Sword smiled. Yes, not only is his inner energy rich, but he can also rely on pills to replenish it. This is simply cheating. Patriarch Changel also smiled bitterly. Once again, he was extremely glad that he chose to ally with Ling Xiao in the end and not become his enemy. Otherwise, he would probably be scared to death by Ling Xiao's method of treating pills as snacks. Including Phoenix Cry Chishan, there are 4 people left. However, Phoenix Cry Chishan is trapped, and one of them is crippled. In fact, there are only 3 people left who can fight. It seems that Ling Xiao really wants to wipe them out in one fell swoop. Zhu Xiaocong said, "Isn't he going to ask about the mastermind behind this?" Mou frowned. He just doesn't want to waste time. Anyway, one of them is almost scared silly and will definitely spill everything in the end. As for the others, it's useless to keep them alive, so he killed them. Upon seeing this, Dan Feng shook his head gently and said, "I didn't expect him to grow so quickly. Old ancestor, I'm starting to believe your words now. I'm afraid he will be the real dark horse at this white tiger gathering." Just as everyone was talking, a scream was heard. Before Ling Xiao made a move, the outcome of a battle had already been decided. It was the Butterfly Lady. Perhaps the Butterfly Lady was tired and didn't want to continue wasting time. A strange 7-colored light shot out from her 7-colored wings and directly pierced through her opponent's body. That opponent's eyes were still wide open when he died, as if he couldn't believe that he was killed by such a small thing. Tired, the Butterfly Lady wobbled back to the mountain river world to rest. To reward this little girl, Ling Xiao naturally prepared all kinds of high-end and delicious food. For example, he took out the medium-grade spirit stones and mortal-grade spirit weapons from the dead Yin-Yang realm martial artist storage rings. These were all things that the Butterfly Lady liked to eat. Ling Xiao felt that his heart was about to melt when he saw her holding the spirit stones and chewing with her small mouth. Lightning strike. Perhaps it was because the Butterfly Lady had finished her battle, but Ba-Er and the Skeleton General, who were still fighting, were a little unconvinced. The huge lightning ball in Ba-Er's hand fiercely smashed onto his opponent. After the terrifying lightning strike, the huge hammer in his right hand fiercely smashed down. The martial artist was already numbed from the lightning strike, so he didn't have any reaction when he was suddenly struck by the huge hammer. He was smashed into meat paste. Chapter 16-17. On the other side, the battle ended even more simply. Originally, the skeleton soldiers, led by the Skeleton General, could block 2 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Now he felt that it was a waste of time to face one person. A large number of white bones suddenly appeared on the ground, and the opponent had nowhere to hide. Dozens of white bones pierced through the person's body. However, a 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist did not die. The Skeleton General went up and pierced the opponent's head with his spear. Only then did the battle end. Dead. All of them were really dead, other than one who was crippled and the trapped phoenix, Cry Chishan. The other 5 people were easily killed by Ling Xiao. Originally, many people did not understand why Ling Xiao dared to start a war against the Divine Phoenix Empire at this time. Could he really be compared to Phoenix Cry Chishan? However, at this moment, they understood that they had underestimated the Celestial Empire's Celestial Emperor. The trump cards that this guy had were not something that others could understand. Even if he faced 6th level Yin Yang realm martial artists alone, he could definitely win easily. This guy was an absolute monster. He actually destroyed 2 assassination attempts from the White Tiger continent and killed a total of 25 Yin Yang realm martial artists. One had to know that if these 25 people formed a force, then they would definitely be able to dominate the entire Divine Phoenix continent. He had actually died so easily. Ling Xiao sent the skeleton general and demon god back. Then, the entire battlefield became quiet. He looked at the martial artist, who had been crippled, with a smile. See, I'm a man of my word. Now, you can tell me, who is the mastermind behind you? Although Ling Xiao still had a smile on his face, this martial artist felt that he was extremely terrifying. Before coming to the Divine Phoenix continent, this martial artist never thought that his opponent would be such a terrifying monster. No, he should be called a monster. Outside the barrier, many people had the same opinion. Ling Xiao's battle power might not be the best, but this guy's talent and growth rate were simply shocking to the point of speechlessness. In every battle, he was weaker than the others and was always seen as trash that could be cleaned up at any time. But every time he fought, he would surprise everyone, using that seemingly inexhaustible trump card to make the enemy despair. Then he would kill the enemy. Those were 5 martial artists at the 5th level of the Yin Yang realm. In the Divine Phoenix continent and the Sky Dragon continent, they were the most powerful forces. But it was precisely this kind of cultivator who, in front of Ling Xiao, was actually like a dog or a chicken, easily annihilated. His cultivation should only be at the 2nd level of the Yin Yang realm, right? Dan Feng muttered to himself in the crowd. Hearing this, the crowd's hearts trembled even more. He was already so terrifying when he was only at the 2nd level of the Yin Yang realm. How terrifying would he be if his cultivation continued to increase? No wonder he insisted on going to the White Tiger continent. This tiny little Divine Phoenix continent already could not accommodate him. Black and White elders, did you see that? This is Ji Lingyue's younger brother, Ji Ling Xiao. Suddenly, the wine demon soared through the dignified Black and White elders of the Fire Phoenix tribe to the ground. He said with some anger and resentment, "Back then you used an extremely despicable method to steal Ji Lingyue's martial soul. But today, your lives are in the hands of her younger brother, Ji Ling Xiao. Don't you feel it deeply?" So it's true. Black and White elders had already suspected Ling Xiao's identity. However, they could not confirm it. Now that they heard this from the wine demon sword, they could completely confirm it. Ji Fuling and Yu Xianyue really had a good son. Ling Xiao seemed to have heard the conversation outside. He looked over coldly. With this look, the dignified Black and White elders felt a chill run down their spines. It was as if many thorns had suddenly grown on their spines. It was very uncomfortable. Deep in their hearts, the shadow of death kept expanding. A bone-chilling coldness spread through their blood and organs. Black and White elders, back then my parents were too benevolent, so they were deceived by you. However, I'm different from them. It's really your misfortune to have met me. Ling Xiao sneered and said, "Don't worry, you won't die so soon. If you want to die, you have to wait until I destroy Phoenix Mountain. I want you to be in complete despair." But you promised Feng Yinshan that you would let all the Fire Phoenix tribesmen go. Elder Black gritted his teeth. Although this was a rumor from outside, Elder Black felt that it could be used to save his life at this critical moment. Since it was already like this, what was the point of saving face? What is Feng Yinshan? I let him go because he has never made things difficult for me. We were allies for a period of time. Do you really think I'm afraid of him? If I want to kill you, even the heavens can't stop me. not to mention Feng Yinshan. Hearing this, Black and White elders' eyes froze. They immediately fell into despair. Back then, they had used lies and wagging their tails to save their lives from Ji Fuling and Yu Xianyue. However, more than 10 years later, they were still unable to escape the curse of this family. Ling Xiao said that he wanted to kill them, but he didn't do it immediately. He wanted to humiliate them and make them feel complete despair. The two of them were like fish on the chopping board, allowing Ling Xiao to take care of them. They had to die how he said they would. This feeling was really uncomfortable. They were the dignified Black and White elders of the Fire Phoenix tribe. They were once peerless experts on the divine Phoenix continent. When had they ever put Ling Xiao in their eyes? If it weren't for the Moon Maiden and the Demon Liquor Sword, they would have killed Ling Xiao long ago. But today, even without the Moon Maiden and the Demon Liquor Sword, Ling Xiao could kill them as easily as squashing a bug. They didn't understand. How long had it been? And the situation had completely reversed. Black and White elders looked at each other and saw the anger and humiliation in each other's eyes. They wanted to commit suicide. But at this moment, they couldn't even commit suicide. The Demon Liquor Sword had sealed all of their internal energy and tied them up. No matter how much hatred and anger they felt, they could only wait for death here. This was simply too painful. They clearly knew that they were about to die, but there was nothing they could do. They couldn't even choose the time of their death and the way of their death. Really, this was the sorrow of the weak. For the first time, they clearly tasted it. Inside the barrier, Feng Mingqishan was still trying his best to break the array. The Dark Sword domain under the Dark Hell Ghost Sword Array continued to pressure Feng Mingqishan. However, it couldn't hurt the other party. Feng Mingqishan was too powerful. It was difficult for the Dark Sword domain alone to work. However, Ling Xiao had already expected this result. Chapter 1618. Ling Xiao did not expect the Dark Hell Ghost Sword formation to kill Phoenix Cry Chi Shan. As long as it could trap Phoenix Cry Chi Shan and pressure him, it would be enough. At this moment, Phoenix Cry Chi Shan's expression was extremely gloomy. He watched helplessly as one of the 6 powerful 5th-level Yin-Yang realm experts he brought was crippled and 5 were killed. At this moment, Ling Xiao was walking towards the crippled guy in an attempt to find out the mastermind behind this from him. But he could not do anything. "Shut up! Say it! You know what the consequences will be." Phoenix Cry Chi Shan roared crazily. "Haha! You can't even protect yourself. Yet you still care about so many things. I can guarantee that as long as he is willing to say it, then he will be an honored guest of our heavenly dynasty empire. I can even help him recover his cultivation. But what about you? You can only roar with all your might in that cage, but you can't do anything." Ling Xiao turned around and glanced at Phoenix Cry Chi Shan, revealing a disdainful sneer. Then he lowered his head and looked at that martial artist again. "Tell me the answer. This is your last chance." His voice was ice cold. Obviously, he was not joking. He put his ear close to the other party. That martial artist finally admitted defeat. Although Phoenix Cry Chi Shan was not dead yet, in his opinion, the trapped Phoenix Cry Chi Shan already had no chance and would only die in the constant exhaustion. What? When Ling Xiao heard that martial artist's words, he could not help but be shocked. "It's actually them? Is what you said true?" He stared at that martial artist and asked again. Because that martial artist was almost out of strength, his voice was very soft. Only Ling Xiao could hear what he said. At this moment, that martial artist only nodded and could not even speak. "All right, you did very well. You can temporarily enjoy life in my heavenly dynasty empire. As long as I investigate and find out that what you said is true, then I can help you recover your cultivation." Ling Xiao still needed help. For a martial artist who had no way out, he could only work for him. "Don't worry, I will help you find your family and send them to the Divine Phoenix continent. Perhaps in the White Tiger continent, I don't dare to say that I can protect them, but in the Divine Phoenix continent, no one can harm them." Ling Xiao glanced at the man and promised. He just wanted to make a gesture to let everyone know that there were definitely benefits to relying on him. He, Ling Xiao, was not a narrow-minded person who would haggle over every ounce. He was someone who would achieve great things. Therefore, even if he had any grudges or grievances with Ling Xiao in the past, he could write them off. An irreconcilable enmity was out of the question. For example, the Black and White Elders. That was the person who almost killed his sister, Jiling Yue, and tricked his parents into crossing the ocean to the heavens' chosen gate. Now he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. To Ling Xiao, there was no way he would let the two of them go. Ling Xiao walked back to the dark sword domain. Looking at the trapped phoenix, Cry Chishan, he smiled and said, "It seems like someone just said that they wanted to kill me and destroy my heavenly empire? Why aren't you shouting now? Right now, you are just like an imprisoned dog. Other than roaring, what else can you do? Ling Xiao, if you have the ability, then remove this array formation. Let's fight fair and square." Feng Ming Qishan roared. He knew that today, right now, was the only time he could defeat Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's terrifying cultivation speed and talent was something that he could not catch up to no matter what. Therefore, he did not think of escaping at all. He only wanted to fight to the death with Ling Xiao. Remove the array formation? Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully and said, "Why should I remove the array formation that I set up with my own ability?" "You." Feng Ming Qishan was simply furious. Ling Xiao, this fellow, actually didn't even give him the chance to fight fair and square. This fellow was truly as terrifying as a demon. Why didn't he see it earlier? Chi chi chi. His irritable mood caused Feng Ming Qishan to make serious mistakes in his actions. A few black swords suddenly flew over and left several sword marks on his body. Fresh blood dripped down and was very eye-catching. "Ling Xiao, you coward! You don't deserve to be the ruler of the Divine Phoenix continent." Feng Ming Qishan roared crazily, and the power of ice and fire in his body began to skyrocket in an almost uncontrollable manner. The ancient five elements dragon soul and the killing god's white blade martial soul had already been absorbed into his body. His figure suddenly increased by 4 to 5 times. Although he was originally in the form of a divine phoenix, his body shape was similar to a human's and he could still fight with weapons. But now his body was several meters long and his wings were 7 to 8 meters wide. His entire person had completely transformed into a huge divine phoenix. "He's going to go berserk." Ling Xiao frowned. Then he used his soul power to transmit a message to Yuan Venerate. "Master, you can avoid the barrier. Once Feng Ming Qishan goes berserk, the dark sword domain will definitely not be able to control him. I have to use the tyrannical sky martial soul." Ling Xiao had nothing to hide in front of Yuan Venerate, as Yuan Venerate had already seen Ling Xiao use the tyrannical sky martial soul more than once. No problem. Yuan Venerate had already controlled the barrier, so it was very easy for him to block the aura and the vision of others. Ling Xiao glanced at the 5th level yin-yang martialist who had already submitted to him and threw him out. "Help me take good care of him. Don't let him die. After all, this is my promise." Someone outside naturally caught the martialist and took care of him properly. Although Changel Immortal Island had not publicly pledged allegiance to the Celestial Dynasty Empire, they had no other choice, even though they had once been allies. However, Changel Immortal Island was too important. If the Celestial Dynasty Empire wanted to completely unify the Divine Phoenix continent and start their cultivation journey to the White Tiger continent, they had to conquer this place. This was also why Feng Ming Qishan had insisted on conquering Changel Immortal Island. Send him to Changel Palace first, and let him have a good rest. Patriarch Changel instructed his subordinates. Someone immediately took the martialist away. When everyone looked at the barrier again, they realized that they could no longer see anything. Not a single trace of aura was emitted from the turbid barrier. This scene seems familiar. Ling Xiao seemed to have done this in the dragon-slain forest, right? Zhu Majian rubbed his chin and said, "It seems like he still has a trump card that he has yet to reveal. However, that trump card might be too shocking, so even we are not qualified to see it." "Perhaps," the Moon Lady said faintly. She did not care what Ling Xiao's trump card was. She only knew that as long as her man was fine and treated her well, that would be enough. As for anything else, why should she worry so much? "Ling Xiao, even if we perish together today, I will make sure you die." Die. Feng Mingqishan, who was in a berserk state, was rapidly losing his life force. This was a way to fight to the death with his opponent. Feng Mingqishan did not want to be trapped to death by Ling Xiao. He wanted to drag Ling Xiao down with him before he died. Chapter 1619. A terrifying aura wrapped around Feng Mingqishan's body. At this moment, the black swords that pierced his body were no longer able to cause any harm. Feng Mingqishan was like a divine phoenix descending from the primordial era, incomparably terrifying and powerful. Crack! His huge phoenix claws ruthlessly tore at the dark sword domain. The originally indestructible dark sword domain was actually torn open. Crack! Another claw swiped down, and the hole was torn open even wider. Feng Mingqishan seemed to have lost his mind. The hidden power from his bloodline gradually controlled him. He crazily rushed out of the dark sword domain. He soared into the sky. As expected, I can't block it. Ling Xiao shook his head lightly. Although he had expected this to happen, the incomparably terrifying power that Feng Mingqishan released before his death still surprised him a little. "Since you've come out, then treat it as a reward for you. I'll let you see my true strength." Ling Xiao stared at Feng Mingqishan in the sky. A chaotic universe gradually appeared behind him. The shadow of the Tyrant martial spirit gradually appeared, and that small piece of mountain river world was the brightest. In the silent universe, the Taotai beast lay on 2 planets and brazenly slept, as if it had no intention of waking up. The ancient hell dragon roamed in the mountain river world, and the demon sword ancestor was stuck on a mountain peak, absorbing the essence of the sun and moon. The golden ancient golden crow perched in the clouds in the sky, emitting a dazzling light, and had already merged with the red sun. The pitch-black ancient heavenly demon perched in the dark shadows, accompanied by the moon. All of this seemed so harmonious and natural. Seeing the scene, Feng Mingqishan was completely shocked. "What martial spirit is this? This is your trump card." He actually gradually regained his senses. This was originally impossible for Feng Mingqishan, who was in a berserk state, unless there was something that stimulated his nerves even more. And it was very clear that the terrifying Tyrant martial spirit in front of him was this thing. Tyrant dark sword of slaughter, divine soul annihilation. Ling Xiao did not answer Feng Mingqishan's question. He gently waved his hand. An ray of light suddenly flashed in the pitch-black universe. It fell like a meteor. Although the people outside the barrier could not feel the terrifying aura, they could feel the earth shaking. It was as if something had broken the balance of space. The gigantic dark slaughter sword descended from the sky, passing through countless stars, bringing with it a terrifying energy. Releasing an astonishing slaughter sword will, it pierced towards the phoenix cry Qi mountain in the sky. Feng Mingqishan was stunned for a moment, and then gave up on blocking the attack. Based on his perception, there was no way he could block such a move. He frantically rushed towards Ling Xiao, attempting to kill Ling Xiao before the sword strike landed. The huge divine phoenix leaped towards Ling Xiao. The power of ice and fire kept exploding in the air. "Can you be faster than my sword?" Ling Xiao looked at Feng Ming Qishan with ridicule and said, "To be honest, I overestimated you. I thought that I only had a 50% chance of defeating you, but you really disappointed me. You only have those terrifying twin martial spirits. Coupled with such a powerful bloodline power, the combat strength you can display is less than half. Now, I feel that I have full confidence in killing you." Sword fall. Feng Ming Qishan raised his head in horror and subconsciously tried to block. However, it was already too late. Boom! The gigantic Dark Slaughter sword released an astonishing power. The sword pierced Feng Ming Qishan. It was like an arrow hitting a small bird. It nailed him to the ground. Feng Ming Qishan's body was squirming, screaming miserably, but it was meaningless. A terrifying dark power was released from the Dark Slaughter sword, and Feng Ming Qishan felt that his body and soul were gradually disappearing. "I said that your body and soul will be destroyed. Feng Ming Qishan, at least in the profound world, you won't be able to live. You repeatedly instigated others to kill me, and I endured it because I was not your opponent at that time. Today, you can be considered to have died in vain. Eye of the immortal pot." A strange, gourd-like eye appeared above Ling Xiao's head. "Withdraw." Although Feng Ming Qishan was bound to die, Ling Xiao still wanted the ancient five elements dragon spirit and the killing god white blade martial spirit. One was one of the 9 great ancient dragon spirits. The other was one of the 12 immortal martial spirits. No matter which one it was, they were all very precious. In the future, if it was made into a blood soul talisman, it would definitely become his very powerful combat strength. Smoke dissipated. The enchantment disappeared. People could finally see everything in the enchantment clearly. Feng Ming Qishan had already disappeared, and only a blood-stained storage ring on the ground confirmed that he had appeared there just now. Ling Xiao stood there, his black hair dancing wildly. His clothes fluttered in the wind. Handsome and cold, like a demon lord of a generation. No one knew when it started, but the title of Demon Lord had been attached to Ling Xiao's head. Even after going to the White Tiger continent, there were still people who called him that. Of course, that was all in the future. Ling Xiao raised his foot and walked towards black and white elders. His cold eyes revealed a dense killing intent. He said that after killing Feng Ming Qishan, it would be the time of black and white elders' death. Naturally, he wouldn't go back on his words. "Do you regret it?" Ling Xiao looked at black and white elders and asked contemptuously. Black and white elders looked at each other and suddenly sneered. "Not killing you earlier is the thing we regret the most." Since he was already going to die, Black Elder didn't show too much embarrassment. After all, he was once a big shot, so this was more like it. "Is that so? I'm afraid that even if you want to kill me, you can't do it." Ling Xiao smiled and said, "I'll give the two of you a chance to die a little more honorably. Tell me, who took my sister's martial spirit?" Sometimes, although it was death, the difference between dying honorably and being tortured to death was still very big. "Brother Ling, our everlasting joy immortal island has a secret realm, and there are snakes, insects, rats, and ants inside. Why don't we cripple them and throw them in, and see how long they can live?" Dan Feng said with a smile. Ling Xiao obviously knew that his words were a threat to black and white elders. No one wanted to die in such a miserable way. That's really a good idea." Ling Xiao smiled, then looked at black and white elders and said, "How about it? I don't think the two of you are the kind of people who have perseverance. Back then, you knelt in front of my parents and begged for mercy, making them pity you. Today, you should also do the same, right?" "You win." Black Elder sighed and said, "I only ask for an intact corpse." "Don't worry, this is very easy." Ling Xiao nodded and said, "Actually, even if I tell you who took your sister's martial spirit, you won't be able to take it back. The difference between us is too big." Black Elder suddenly revealed a sinister smile, as if he thought of something very fun. Chapter 1620. Elder Black suddenly laughed. You think you've won, but you don't know that you've already caused a disaster. The foundation of the Divine Phoenix clan isn't in the Divine Phoenix continent, but in the White Tiger continent. Feng Fei, she's the pride of our Fire Phoenix clan. Her talent isn't inferior to your big sister's. If the Divine Phoenix Empire has her, then Phoenix Cry Mountain and Phoenix Hidden Mountain will have to stand aside. Oh, Feng Fei, I'll remember that name. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a sharp light before he said, Kill yourselves. This is what I promised you. I can leave your corpses intact. Since the other party had cooperated and told him the answer, he wouldn't go back on his word. Although he was domineering, he wasn't an unreasonable person. Many thanks. The black and white elders looked at each other and smiled sadly. Then they attacked at the same time and pressed their palms against the top of their heads. Find a place to bury them. I only promised to leave their corpses intact, but I didn't say I'd bury them. Ling Xiao glanced at the two corpses before taking their storage rings. After confirming that the two were dead, he ordered his subordinates. Yes, naturally someone obeyed. The Vermilion Bird clan and Thunderhawk clan leaders were extremely nervous. Although they'd surrendered at the last minute, they were worried that Ling Xiao wouldn't accept them. Seeing Elder Black and Elder Black commit suicide made their hearts uneasy. Don't worry. Since you've surrendered to my celestial empire, you're one of us. Naturally, I won't do anything to you. But I hope you'll remember this clearly. I, Ling Xiao, hate betrayal the most. Since you've joined, you should be down to earth. If you dare to betray me one day, I'll exterminate your entire clan. I won't leave anyone alive. If anyone else had said this, they might not have believed it. But since Ling Xiao said it, they believed it without question. Ling Xiao had always been a man of his word. He was also a ruthless person. Rumble. Rumble. Suddenly the ground shook violently. Even the storm and ocean shook. Strange rumbling sounds came from afar. Ling Xiao frowned as he activated his Taiji eye and looked into the distance. However, he discovered something extremely strange and terrifying. In this stormy ocean, many continents began to gather, merge, and come into contact with each other. So the prophecy was actually true. The Moon Maiden exclaimed in shock. What prophecy? Ling Xiao glanced at the Moon Maiden and asked. On the day the 13 continents of the profound world split apart, a prophecy was born. It said that when a country rose up in the profound world and could unify the profound world, the 13 continents would close once again. The Moon Maiden replied, It looks like the prophecy has begun to come true. Your heavenly empire has now unified the heavenly dragon continent and the divine phoenix continent. Therefore, these two continents have begun to close up and become a complete continent. The 13 continents have become 12. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered. The heroic spirit in his heart became even stronger. Later history books recorded. In the second year of the Celestial Dynasty calendar, the Celestial Emperor unified the Celestial Dragon and the Divine Phoenix, and the two continents became one. Although there was an anomaly in the sky, and the earth shook, the strange thing was that the residents on the surface did not suffer any injuries. It was as if there was a god helping them. This day was not peaceful after all. The entire Heavenly Dragon continent and Divine Phoenix continent resounded with Ling Zhao's glorious achievements. The merging of the two continents and the appearance of an anomaly in the sky caused everyone living on these two continents to know about Ling Zhao's achievements. The Divine Phoenix Empire, which was extremely powerful in the past and had almost unified the Divine Phoenix continent, was easily wiped out and replaced by Ling Xiao. People were shocked and fearful of Ling Zhao's strength and dominance. Later on, there were rumors that the Divine Phoenix Emperor had set a trap at the peak of Changel Mountain with 6 Yin-Yang Realm 5th level experts to besiege Ling Xiao. However, 6 of the 7 people were killed and 1 was crippled. At this moment, Ling Xiao's name completely resounded throughout the two continents. He had become a unique existence. In the past, no matter how prominent Ling Xiao's reputation was, he was still suppressed by the top 10 on the Dragon Phoenix list. However, this time, no one could suppress him. He was the most dazzling star on these two continents. A few days later, this news spread to the White Tiger continent. The White Tiger continent had a sacred place that all cultivators yearned for. Valley of the Immortals. The Valley of the Immortals was extremely huge. It was rumored that the area it occupied was equivalent to half of any of the 4 empires on the White Tiger continent. The reason why it was called a sacred place was that the immortals of the immortal court would often descend to the mortal world to teach and dispel doubts. It was said that staying in the Valley of the Immortals for a few days was equivalent to cultivating outside for a few years. At this moment, in a mystic realm in the Valley of the Immortals, there was a very exquisite and unique house. It was built with special materials and could absorb the spirit chi of heaven and earth. It was extremely mysterious. Outside the house, a young lady sat cross-legged with her eyes closed. A white tiger crouched beside her. Its sharp eyes were staring at a place not far away. There a figure was slowly walking over. His steps were light and had a hint of majesty. The figure was tall and imposing, but his face was somewhat pale. The footsteps got closer and closer. When the figure was about 10 meters away from the house, he finally stopped. Then he stood there respectfully and did not make a sound. It was as if he was afraid of disturbing the young lady who was cultivating. The white tiger yawned in boredom and actually fell asleep on its stomach. It seemed to have sensed that the person who came did not have any hostility. After a full 2 hours, the woman finally opened her eyes. She wore a strange mask on her face, so her appearance could not be seen clearly. However, those eyes revealed a depth that made people fear. "Feng Yinshan, why are you here?" She lightly opened her red lips. Her voice was illusory, as if it came from all directions, but also as if it came from another world. Feng Yinshan sighed and said, "Feng Mingqishan is dead. None of the 6 experts that you sent could return. That Ling Xiao has already completely matured. You came to disturb me just because of this?" The young lady seemed to be a little angry. It was as if she felt that Feng Mingqishan's death, or the 6th 5th level Yin-Yang realm martial artist deaths, was not worth mentioning. "There's an even bigger matter," Feng Yinshan continued. "A phenomenon has descended from the heavens. The Sky Dragon and Divine Phoenix have finally merged." Hearing this, the young lady was indeed a little shocked. Even she seemed to be unable to remain calm. After a long while, she suddenly laughed. Her laughter was very carefree, as if the shock from before had vanished into thin air. Perhaps this is the will of the heavens. She finally stopped laughing and looked at Feng Yinshan. The Sky Dragon and Divine Phoenix have merged into one. That Ling Xiao will definitely become a thorn in the eyes of the major factions of the White Tiger continent. The mistakes the Divine Phoenix Empire made, they will not repeat the same mistakes. Chapter 16:21. The woman said with contempt, "As long as that Ling Xiao dares to come to the White Tiger continent, he will definitely die. For us, there are only benefits and no disadvantages. Although that is the case, this Ling Xiao cannot be underestimated. Those who have underestimated him have either died or suffered a crushing defeat." Feng Yinshan sighed and said, "I am one of them." "Are you afraid?" The woman teased. "That's right, I'm afraid. If you see Ling Xiao, you will definitely be shocked by his talent and courage." Feng Yinshan told the truth. "Today, besides telling you some things about the outside world, I also have something to tell you." "What is it?" "I'm leaving. The current me can't face Ling Xiao because my spirit has been completely damaged. I'll leave the people of the Fire Phoenix tribe to you." Feng Yinshan said calmly, "Where are you going?" The gate of heaven's chosen. Feng Yinshan said resolutely, only by stepping on a different path can I surpass Ling Xiao. You will die. If I die, then I die. It's better than being suppressed by others for the rest of my life. It seems like you've already made your decision. Then I won't stop you. I hope you can live. An additional path is an additional layer of hope for our Fire Phoenix tribe. Farewell. Feng Yinshan cupped his fists respectfully, then turned around and prepared to leave. One last question. How do you think Ling Xiao is compared to me? The woman suddenly asked. At this stage, you are much stronger than him. Killing him will be as easy as flipping your hand. But if you can't kill him, the one who will lose in the end will definitely be you. Feng Yinshan paused for a moment before replying. All right, you can leave now. The woman calmly watched Feng Yinshan leave. The coldness in her deep eyes grew even stronger. She suddenly turned around to look at the house and said with a smile, Miss, he seems to have mistaken me for you. After the war, the Divine Phoenix Empire's capital still maintained its former peace and prosperity. People walked onto the streets, one after another. They found that the flags in front of many shops had been replaced with the dragon flag of the Celestial Empire. The original Phoenix flag had all been removed. The soldiers walking on the streets have also changed into brand new armor, which has the distinct characteristics of the Celestial Empire. At this moment, people were finally willing to accept this reality. The Divine Phoenix Empire of the past no longer existed. Now, there was only one empire between the Heavenly Dragon Continent and the Divine Phoenix Continent, and that was the Heavenly Empire. Speaking of domineering and unparalleled, I'm afraid there's no one else other than the Celestial Emperor Ling Xiao. People walked on the streets and looked at everything that had changed. They couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao, who was just a celestial realm martial artist, not worth mentioning 2 years ago, would become so powerful? Now he had become the overlord of 2 continents. When he defeated the new True Devil Empire and established the Celestial Empire, there were people who mocked him for overestimating himself. Many people were even waiting to laugh at him, thinking that he would soon pay the price for his ignorance and naivety. But today, this youth who had been mocked behind his back countless times became the final victor of 2 continents at the age of 17. He's domineering, but he's not bloodthirsty. If it were someone else who really took down the Divine Phoenix Empire, this place would probably be covered in blood. I didn't expect that we could still continue to do our own business. It's simply like a dream. Someone sighed. Yeah, this might be the reason for his success. Have you heard? Now, the Heavenly Dragon Continent has been named the Heavenly Dragon Province, and the Divine Phoenix Continent has been named the Divine Phoenix Province. After the 2 continents merged, it was renamed the Dragon Phoenix Continent. The specific documents will be issued soon. I heard this is a must. Since the 2 continents have merged, it will be much more convenient to go to the Heavenly Dragon Continent in the future. In the entire Divine Phoenix capital, there were no traces of war at all. Everything was so orderly. Everything was going so smoothly. The gears of time had officially entered the next stage. At the same time, the distant Tianhai Empire also learned of the changes in the Dragon Phoenix continent. Outside the Tianhai Empire's palace, thousands of civil and military officials knelt there. Among them, there were actually quite a number of people from the Divine Phoenix Empire and the Black Crow Empire. Some of them were martial artists who had migrated to the White Tiger continent long ago, and some had fled here before Ling Xiao started the war. The Tianhai Empire had always treated the Divine Phoenix continent as their subsidiary, so they completely accepted these people as long as they were capable. At this moment, these people knelt there. The person in the lead was holding a blood letter. Everyone's faces were filled with anger and hatred. They didn't speak, but that soaring resentment and hatred gathered above the palace and didn't dissipate for a long time. There was only one sentence on that blood letter. Ling Xiao, the renegade, destroyed the Black Crow Empire, destroyed the divine Phoenix Empire, and killed the sacred envoy. His crimes are extremely heinous. I hope the Emperor will punish him and eliminate this evil thief. Below were the bloody fingerprints of the rest, as well as their signatures. The rest of you wait outside. The left Prime Minister and the right Prime Minister bring the blood letter for an audience. After a long time, the door to the imperial court opened. A eunuch walked out from inside and said loudly with a sharp voice. The two people in the lead stood up and respectfully stepped into the imperial court with the blood letter in their hands. In the imperial court, he sat with a golden saber in his hand, his brows emitting the domineering aura that an emperor should have. He glanced indifferently at the two people who entered and said, "My two beloved subjects, sit down and talk." This subject doesn't dare. The two of them came to hand over the blood letter. This kind of thing had a bit of the taste of coercing the emperor, so they were also apprehensive in their hearts. Not to mention sitting. Even standing felt uncomfortable all over. The emperor of the Tianhai Empire didn't ask them to sit, but said softly, "Leave the blood letter here. We already know about Ling Zhao's matter. But now that the Dragon Phoenix continent has united and the Tianhai Empire is powerful and prosperous, could it be that my two beloved subjects plan to have my Tianhai Empire lead troops to attack the Dragon Phoenix continent? Do you know how many pairs of eyes are watching us right now? The two of you, as subjects, hold high positions and authority, second only to one person and above tens of thousands. You can't spoil the Empire's important matters just because of your personal grudges." Although the Emperor's voice was very gentle, in the ears of the two prime ministers it was like a bolt from the blue, causing them to feel uneasy and fearful. Just as they were hesitating about what to do, the Emperor spoke again. "But Ling Zhao killed my Tianhai Empire's holy envoy. This is also a fact. We can't let him be at ease. Isn't Ling Zhao coming to the White Tiger continent to participate in the White Tiger Storm meet soon? Jianghu matters will be handled by the Jianghu. Do you two understand what we mean?" Their eyes immediately lit up, and they hurriedly knelt on the ground. This subject understands. All right, let the people outside disperse. It's early in the morning. It's not good for the influence. If you need our help with this matter, just say it in private. We don't want to see today's matter a second time. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Chapter 16:22. The sovereign king then stood up and left the court. The two people kneeling below looked at each other, although they were not satisfied with the result. But since the sovereign king had already hinted that he could use the methods of the underworld to deal with Ling Zhao, then it could be considered to have achieved a certain effect. At this time, Ling Zhao did not know what was happening above. He was still on Chang'e Celestial Island, because he had always felt that it was strange why Feng Ming Qishan would rather abandon Divine Phoenix Empire and attack Chang'e Celestial Island. After a few days of careful investigation, he finally discovered the 3 secrets of Chang'e Celestial Island. First, on Chang'e Celestial Island, there was a secret place that was sealed all year round. Those who were not good at array formations were unable to enter. Thus, even Dan Feng, Ancestor Chang'e, and the others had never entered. Feng Ming Qishan had the ancient 5 elements dragon soul, so he should be very confident in breaking such an array formation. This secret realm was probably one of the reasons why Feng Ming Qishan attacked here. Second, on Chang'e Celestial Island, there was actually an ancient teleportation array. Although it was already dilapidated, if it could be repaired by even a tenth, then it could directly transport soldiers to the White Tiger continent. To Feng Ming Qishan, who was also ambitious, this thing would affect whether he could dominate the White Tiger continent. Unfortunately, Feng Ming Qishan could be considered to have made a wedding dress for Ling Zhao. Third, after careful analysis on the map and actual investigation, Ling Zhao was surprised to find that the 5 Immortal Island was not a place that appeared by chance. These 5 Immortal Islands were actually very likely created by humans. The Five Immortal Island happened to be at the 5 nodes between Divine Phoenix Continent and White Tiger Continent. It actually formed a strange array diagram, 5 elements heaven, earth, yin-yang formation. This array had 3 functions. First, it could absorb the 5 elements between heaven and earth and transport them to Divine Phoenix Continent to provide a large amount of energy for martial artists' cultivation. Second, during wartime, it could form the 5 elements sky curtain to block the invasion of the army and protect Divine Phoenix Continent. Third, it could communicate with yin and yang, greatly increasing the efficiency of martial artists breaking through to the yin-yang realm. Of course, this array formation had been around for too long. Because it had not been repaired for a long time, only the second function was temporarily effective. The first and third functions were basically ineffective. Feng Ming Qishan had probably seen through this point long ago, which was why he wanted to occupy 5 Immortal Island. With the 5 Immortal Islands, they would have the confidence to build an army. However, Feng Ming Qishan did not expect that the secret that he had spent more than 10 years to discover would actually be seen through by Ling Xiao in one day. Now that he knew all this, Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't miss out on the 5-element heaven-earth yin-yang formation. He was proficient in array formations, and with the guidance of a Yuan Venerate, it shouldn't be a problem to repair this array. These days, he had been asking people to help him find materials to repair the array formation. At the same time, he had also stationed 5 legions on the 5 Immortals Island. After all, today's Divine Phoenix Continent had already become the Dragon Phoenix Continent. The area covered by the 5 elemental heaven yin-yang formation had also become larger. To Ling Xiao, it was even more important. Naturally, he would not give it up. Using the power of the entire country to repair this array formation, things became much easier. In less than 3 days, all the materials were gathered. After that, Ling Xiao headed to the Tianpeng Immortal Island, the Permitha Immortal Island, the Blackwater Immortal Island, and the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island to repair the array formation. Finally, he came to the Changal Immortal Island to add the finishing touch. The Tao of array formations is really mysterious. It's actually not inferior to the martial Tao. The Changal Patriarch sighed as he watched Ling Xiao set up the array formation. If he had also set up the array formation, the Changal Immortal Island wouldn't have been forced to such an extent by Phoenix Cry Chi Mountain. That's natural. The mystic world is so big that almost no martialists have truly set foot in it. Old fellows like us have never stepped out of the Divine Phoenix Continent in most of our lives. What can we see? I heard that when the Sacred Dynasty unified the mystic world, alchemy masters and array formation masters were the most revered existences in the Sacred Dynasty. As the saying goes, learn the dragon slaying technique and sell it to the royal family. These people enter and leave the palace and are treated as distinguished guests. Zhu Wen, who was beside him, chuckled when he heard what the Changal Patriarch said. However, regardless of whether it's array formations, alchemy, or refining, they all require a solid foundation of the martial Tao. Without sufficient cultivation and internal strength, you won't be able to refine a large number of elixirs, even if you know about them. You won't be able to break a large number of array formations, even if you know about them. That's right. No matter what the goal is, the martial Tao is the foundation. Without the martial Tao, you can be killed at any time. How can you become a master? The Changal Patriarch agreed with Zhu Wen's words. Boom! Suddenly, 5-colored heavenly lightning descended from the sky. It circled in the air, but didn't strike the ground. It was very miraculous. Could it be that the 5 elements heaven-earth yin-yang formation was successfully set up? The Changal Patriarch couldn't help but ask when he saw the phenomenon. The Patriarch guessed correctly. It was successfully repaired. Suddenly, a voice came from behind the Changal Patriarch. It was filled with joy and a strong sense of accomplishment. Sigh, it's true that the waves behind surpass the waves before. Each wave is stronger than the last. We old fellows really have to leave this era. The Changel Patriarch turned his head to look. Ling Xiao had appeared behind them at some point in time. He and Zhu Wen didn't notice him at all. If this was a sneak attack, the two of them would have already become two corpses. That's right. His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor's strength has really improved by leaps and bounds. It's not something we can compare to. Zhu Wen also sighed with emotion. The two of you are too humble. You have spent a lot of time on the management of the sect and the island, while I have been obsessed with cultivation. Even the matters of the Heavenly Empire have been thrown to others to manage. No matter what you do, you are afraid of the word obsession. Ling Xiao laughed. Haha, you are so obsessed with martial arts. Your success is indeed natural. So what do you want to do next? Repair the ancient teleportation array? Or go to the Changel secret realm to take a look? The Changel Patriarch asked with a smile. The ancient teleportation array is more complicated than the five-element heaven-earth yin-yang formation. It's not something that can be completed in a short time. Just now, I have already carried out some basic maintenance on the teleportation array. At present, it can still teleport 3 people to the White Tiger continent at the same time. Ling Xiao replied, but to completely repair it, I still have to collect at least 8 space-time crystals. This kind of space-time crystal is not available on the Dragon Phoenix continent. I'm afraid I have to go to the White Tiger continent to find it. I see. That is to say, you plan to go to the Changel secret realm to take a look? The Changel Patriarch laughed. Of course I have to go. To be able to leave the ancient teleportation array here, the Changel secret realm is probably a very special place. Before going to the White Tiger continent, if I can go, of course I have to take a look. Ling Xiao nodded. Then there's no time to lose. Follow me. The Changel Patriarch had always wanted to know what was in the Changel secret realm. Now that he had met a formation master like Ling Xiao, he naturally had to take this opportunity to go in and take a look. Chapter 16:23. Why do we do this? This kind of secret realm is usually prepared for people with opportunities. I'll choose some martial artists with potential and strength to go in and try their luck. Who knows, they might be able to obtain their own opportunities. Ling Xiao thought for a while and said, Your Majesty, the Heavenly Emperor, is so thoughtful. Ling Xiao had actually been thinking about this for a long time. He was definitely not powerful alone. For example, this time when he attacked the Black Crow Empire, destroyed the Divine Phoenix Empire, and unified the Divine Phoenix continent, it was absolutely impossible to do without the help of others. When he went to the White Tiger continent, he still needed someone to help him guard the Dragon Phoenix continent. Before he left, he would do as much as he could. He made a list of martial artists above the half-step yin-yang realm of the Heavenly Empire. Regardless of age, they could enter the Changel secret realm. The reason why he chose the half-step yin-yang realm was because Ling Xiao felt that the aura in this secret realm was somewhat powerful. Martial artists below the half-step yin-yang realm would not only not gain anything, but might also get into trouble. Of course, Dan Feng, Long Chen, MOU, Zhu Xiaocong, Cold Plum, and the others were not included on the list. Before the martial artists on the list gathered at the Changel Celestial Island, Ling Xiao went to the Changel secret realm alone. He wanted to go in and take a look at the situation first. As for the people on the list, as long as the secret realm opened, they could enter at any time. In any case, in a place like a secret realm, everyone who entered would obtain different opportunities. No one would snatch anyone else's. With the Phoenix Cry, Qi Mountain's immemorial 5 elements dragon soul, Ling Xiao only took less than 15 minutes to crack the Changel secret realm's array formation. This made Ancestor Changel, Zhu Wen, and the others who were watching from a far side, especially Ancestor Changel. This secret realm seemed to have existed since the birth of the Changel Celestial Island. When Ancestor Changel was still very young, he heard his elders say that they wanted to find a way to crack this secret realm. However, Until now, there had been no progress. But the moment Ling Xiao made a move, he actually broke it so easily. This really made him feel a little helpless and a little shocked. I'm going in first. Ling Xiao cupped his fists at the crowd in the distance, then leaped into the secret realm. The moment he entered the secret realm, Ling Xiao suddenly felt a terrifying pressure coming from all directions. He felt like he was about to be squashed into a meat patty. He hurriedly released his inner energy to resist. Looks like my previous judgment was correct. If you want to survive in this secret realm, you have to be at least a half-step yin-yang realm cultivator. Otherwise, you will be crushed to death as soon as you enter. When he felt that the pressure was no longer so terrifying, Ling Xiao stopped releasing his inner force and walked inside. He could sense that the deeper he went, the greater the pressure. He had no choice but to continue increasing his internal energy to fight back. The first 100 meters or so is suitable for a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist. The next 100 meters is suitable for a first-level yin-yang realm martial artist. The next 100 meters is suitable for a second-level yin-yang realm martial artist. Ling Xiao recorded the data as he walked. From the first 100 meters, one could see some strange things in this secret realm, such as strange sculptures, vivid murals, and so on. However, Ling Xiao did not pay much attention to them. Since the deeper he went, the more difficult it was. It meant that the opportunities inside were naturally better. After walking for another 100 meters, Ling Xiao could already see a majestic palace standing in the distance. It seems like every 100 meters forward, the pressure will increase by one level. Although my cultivation base is only at the second level of the yin-yang realm, my combat ability, physical strength, inner energy, and soul power are comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the fourth level of the yin-yang realm. It shouldn't be a problem for me to walk another 200 meters. However, the palace seems to be about 400 meters away. It seems like I have to use Hell Body and Tyrannical Martial Soul. Fortunately, there were no outsiders here, so Ling Xiao could fully unleash his potential. After walking for another 200 meters, Ling Xiao automatically entered the state of Hell Body. After another 100 meters, Ling Xiao activated the primordial Golden Dragon King bloodline. Although his cultivation did not increase, his body's endurance greatly increased. Therefore, without releasing the tyrannical martial soul, he still walked the 400 meters with heavy steps and stood before the majestic palace's huge door. The entire palace was solemn black. Even the Lina door was a thick black iron door. Ling Xiao opened his Tai Chi eye and carefully observed the huge door. He discovered that there were layers of formation inscriptions on the door. After tens of thousands of years, there were no signs of damage. It seems like the person who set up this secret realm is much more skilled in formations than the person who set up the primordial teleportation formation and the five elemental world yin-yang formation. The formation at the entrance of the secret realm and the formation on the huge door actually had the ability to self-renew and self-repair. This was an eye-opener for Ling Xiao. Boom! Behind him, a five-colored divine dragon suddenly appeared. After obtaining the Phoenix Cry Chishan's primordial five elements dragon soul, he naturally had to use it. 5 rays of light shot towards the huge door, corresponding to the inscription elements on the huge door, and began to quickly link up. Then, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with various inscriptions. He had already begun to crack the formation. About 5 or 6 minutes later, Ling Xiao's eyes returned to normal, and the primordial 5 elements dragon soul behind him gradually disappeared. With this 5 elements dragon soul, the speed of cracking formations and formations can be increased by several times. I really have to thank that Phoenix Cry Chishan. Ling Xiao smiled, and then went forward to push the huge door. However, the huge door did not move at all. The formation has been cracked. What's going on? Ling Xiao was a little confused. He used his Tai Chi eye to observe carefully again, but he did not find any traces of a formation. Could it be the weight of the huge door itself? Ling Xiao instantly thought of the crux of the problem. He sneered. In terms of strength, he was confident that in the entire divine Phoenix continent, no one was his opponent. His body began to emit a golden light, and the primordial golden dragon cells in his body were mobilized. Then, Ling Xiao walked to the front of the huge door, pressed his hands on the door, and let out a low roar. That sound was actually similar to a dragon's roar. Boom! A loud sound like muffled thunder came, and the huge door finally slowly opened. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao felt a powerful soul force directly hit his soul realm, trying to take the opportunity to destroy his soul. Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. At the critical moment, Ling Xiao released the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. An extremely terrifying soul force was released from the vast universe and integrated into Ling Xiao's soul realm. Like a monstrous wave, it easily shattered the soul force that invaded his soul realm. Chapter 16:24. Damn, a double test of the body and soul. Even if I'm at the 5th level of the yin-yang realm, I won't be able to enter the palace. Ling Xiao sighed with emotion, then stepped through the giant door. The moment he entered the giant door, the door closed with a rumbling sound. However, Ling Xiao didn't care. If he could open it from the outside, he was confident that he could open it from the inside. It was pitch black in the palace. However, for a martial artist at Ling Xiao's level, it wasn't a problem. He could still see everything clearly. It was a very long path. The end of the path led to endless darkness. Even he couldn't see through the darkness. However, in the face of such a situation, Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all. He lifted his foot and walked forward. He was already here. Was he supposed to give up and leave? He, Ling Xiao, had been prepared to die since the day he started practicing martial arts. If he died, it would only prove that he wasn't capable. On the path of martial arts, even if you had the slightest fear, your path wouldn't be smooth. Why were so many martial artists stuck at a certain cultivation level and couldn't break through? It wasn't because they couldn't break through, but because they were afraid. The risk of breaking through was something they weren't willing to take. However, Ling Xiao wasn't afraid. It didn't matter if he was stupid or crazy. He was just like that. He believed in the saying, "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." Moreover, after experiencing so many dangers, he had already developed the ability to deal with danger. If he really wanted to die, it would depend on whether the danger had the ability to do so. The path wasn't long. He quickly stepped into the boundless darkness. In here, not only could he not see anything with his eyes, but he also couldn't hear or feel anything. After releasing his soul power, he would lose his senses instantly as if it was swallowed by something. What a terrifying place! What kind of place is this? Ling Xiao was shocked as he felt everything. He didn't act rashly. Instead, he sat down with his legs crossed. Since he was already here, he didn't plan to leave easily. Moreover, it was impossible to leave now even if he wanted to. The path he used to enter had disappeared. It was as if he was isolated in a space without anything. He thought that there would be some danger. But in reality, Ling Xiao waited for an hour and nothing happened. He began to feel a little anxious. There was a hint of panic. "Are you trying to test my ability to endure loneliness?" Ling Xiao frowned and pondered. But no one told him if that was the right answer. If they really wanted to test whether he could endure this kind of desolation and loneliness, then as long as he persevered, he would reap the rewards. But if not, even if he foolishly waited like this, there would be no results. He would only die slowly here. If it were anyone else, they would probably be overwhelmed by such a choice and might even fall into madness in the end. But Ling Xiao wouldn't. He would not foolishly wait, nor would he become anxious and crazy because of this. If there was nothing in the world, then he would just have to create such a world. Qiyang, bright moon, night and day, mountains and rivers. There was light in the originally dark world. The originally silent world was now filled with sound. Ling Xiao looked at the pitch-black space again. At that moment, he was stunned. The world that he thought had nothing in it turned out to be so exciting and rich. Around him was a place with mountains and rivers, flowers and trees, and even birds and beasts. However, there was one thing that was strange. He seemed to be unable to touch this world. There was also a huge gap between this world and him. It was as if they were not in the same space. No wonder there is no sound, no light, and no feeling. This place should be a cursed place, an isolated place, a sealed place. He gave up on observing the beautiful and rich world outside. Instead, he locked his gaze on this narrow space that seemed to be only about 20 square meters. There was a bed in this place. It was covered with weeds, and a person was lying on the weeds. His hands and limbs were shackled. It seemed that those shackles were definitely not ordinary. Otherwise, it would be impossible for there to be no traces of rust after so many years. That person did not move, as if he was dead. To be honest, Ling Xiao was a little nervous. How could an ordinary person be locked up in such a secret place? This person's cultivation was probably at least Yin-Yang realm level 5. Otherwise, those formations and formations would not be used at all. It would be impossible for this person to leave this dark space. He was considering whether to go over or not. I'd better be careful. Ling Xiao finally made up his mind. He had to go over. Otherwise, it would be meaningless for him to come here. However, before he went over, he secretly released his Gemini martial souls. In this way, even if he encountered danger and was killed, he would not really die. His Gemini martial souls hid in the darkness, silently. Then Ling Xiao walked over. The moment he reached the bed, the person on the bed suddenly opened his eyes and revealed an excited and crazy smile. Ling Xiao tried to dodge, but the person grabbed his arm. Then he could not move at all. Crack, 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 crack. When Ling Xiao realized that he could move, his hands and feet were shackled. These shackles were indeed extraordinary. There were many complex and powerful inscription formations on them, and that person was standing in front of the bed. His hair was very long and his face could not be seen. Ling Xiao could only see that this person's eyes were dark blue and had a strange light. Ha ha ha! Finally, someone has come to replace me. That person suddenly looked up and laughed. Although Ling Xiao could not hear his voice, he could read his mouth. After laughing heartily, that person looked at Ling Xiao with pity and then disappeared into the pitch-black space. Ling Xiao was stunned from the beginning to the end. It was only when that person left that his expression suddenly relaxed. The person just left and did not attack him. To him, this was actually very fortunate. He could see that after that person disappeared in the dark space, he appeared in the outside world, in the beautiful scenery of mountains and rivers. Then everything disappeared. The beautiful scenery seemed to have been cut off in an instant, and the two spaces were completely disconnected. Ling Xiao could only think that although this place could imprison martial artists, it could only imprison one at a time. As long as there was a replacement, they could leave. So that person had been waiting for such an opportunity. He did not expect that Ling Xiao would come knocking on his door. Furthermore, that person was extremely powerful and had definitely violated the laws of the divine Phoenix continent's profound world. In front of him, Ling Xiao was not even comparable to an ant. He simply did not have any ability to resist. In fact, the moment his arm was touched, all of his strength and inner strength could not be connected. Chapter 16:26. According to the rules of this space, two people must stay inside at the same time before one of them can leave. Want to find someone to replace me? I'm afraid that's difficult. Ling Xiao shook his head, but immediately revealed a smile. Now that I know the root of the problem, it's much easier to solve it. Since there are rules, I just have to break them. His tyrannical martial spirit was born to destroy the rules of the mystic world. Ling Xiao revealed a sneer. Then, the tyrannical martial spirit was fully released, and the vast universe began to compress the small sealed space. The inscriptions of the rules were breaking inch by inch. Ling Xiao found that after he cultivated the mystic world body, the pressure released by the tyrannical martial spirit had become stronger. It seemed that the tyrannical martial spirit and the mystic world body were a perfect match. Creak, creak. The sealed space seemed to be unwilling to be destroyed by the tyrannical martial spirit, and it began to retaliate reflexively. The space began to shrink at an accelerated rate, trying to squeeze Ling Xiao to death. Ling Xiao withdrew his Gemini martial spirits. In the face of this terrible pressure, he was not afraid at all, and there was even a faint smile on his face. It seemed that he did not care about all of this, and even felt a little disdainful. Ka ka ka. The pressure grew stronger and stronger, and the sealed space was almost to the extent that it could only accommodate Ling Xiao alone. Then it began to exert a huge pressure from the outside, trying to crush Ling Xiao into minced meat. However, the result was unexpected. The sealed space tried to crush Ling Xiao, but in the end it collapsed. It was like someone trying to strangle an elephant with a piece of paper. The final result was that the paper was completely torn apart. Looking at the sudden brightness in front of him, Ling Xiao could not help but smile when he returned to the previous palace. What a mystic world body! It's really terrifying. Such a strong pressure can't even shake my physical body. It seems that cultivating the mystic world body was the right choice. Ling Xiao felt a little emotional. The profound world body was such a strange body, refining secret art. Even if many people saw it, it would be difficult for them to cultivate it. On the other hand, Ling Xiao could rely on this secret art to condense a profound world body and create the most perfect body in the profound world. Not only was he invulnerable to swords and spears, even a mortal-grade spiritual weapon would not be able to harm him. Even if he stood there and let them hit him, they wouldn't be able to kill him. This was only the beginning, and he hadn't gone any further in his cultivation. If he could really refine a profound world body, he believed that even greater surprises awaited him. Ling Xiao had been fond of body tempering ever since he was in the martial vein realm. This was because he had always felt that martial arts' secret techniques were just outer das. Whether a person was truly strong and could withstand the test of strength, the physical body was the most crucial factor. If his body wasn't strong enough, then he wouldn't have been able to completely fuse with the mountain and river martial spirit. Furthermore, it was very likely that he would have been killed long ago. The energy in his body was extraordinary. Only a strong enough body could withstand it. Whether it was the ancient hellfire, the dark flame of death, or the Samadhi true fire, was the same. Without a strong body, while burning others, he would also hurt himself. That was really killing 1,000 enemies and losing 800 of his own men. It wasn't worth it. Of course, the current era belonged to the era of fast food martial arts. Very few people were willing to calm down and cultivate their bodies. After all, only when one reached a certain level of body-tempering martial arts could it be effective. Most of the time, as long as others had a slightly stronger weapon or move, they would be able to easily break through your defense. Therefore, body-tempering martial arts was considered a waste of time by most people, and there wasn't much use for it. Especially in this era of martial spirits awakening and bloodline power erupting, body-tempering martial arts were even more abandoned. Want to strengthen the body? Many martial spirits could do it, and many bloodline power could do it. Why waste time cultivating body-tempering martial arts? Others thought so, but Ling Xiao's thoughts were different. First of all, he had enough energy to cultivate body-tempering martial arts. Second, he had always thought that the strengthening brought by martial spirits and bloodline was ultimately limited. To put it bluntly, it was only strengthening, mending the original foundation. Only by truly cultivating body-tempering martial arts could one completely transform the body and rebuild it after destruction. Just like the current Ling Shao, his ordinary physical body had been completely transformed into a mystic world body. The powerful royal heaven-earth power flowed continuously in his body. It could be said that as long as he stood on the land of the Dragon Phoenix continent, even those whose cultivation was several levels higher than him would not be able to defeat him. This was because the entire continent was the source of his power. Of course, choosing to cultivate the mystic world body also came with a huge risk. This was because the mystic world body was directly related to whether a person had their own territory in the mystic world, whether they were the overlords of this territory. If Ling Shao failed in the struggle for hegemony, then the mystic world body would naturally collapse and all his previous efforts would be wasted. Only those with great perseverance, great confidence, and great ambition could truly cultivate the mystic world body to the highest realm. At that time, they might have already unified the entire mystic world. It just so happened that Ling Shao was such a person. Succeed or die trying. He had no way out, nor did he need to. He, who had long set a great ambition, wanted to unify the mystic world and completely control it in his own hands. Now, the divine phoenix and heavenly dragon combination was just a small step he had taken. The further he went, the more difficult it would be to achieve such a thing. However, he was still confident and would not retreat in fear. With a smile, Ling Shao observed his surroundings and discovered that the originally dark palace had become bright. A large amount of royal heaven-earth power had already condensed in the palace, and Ling Shao planned to absorb all of it and integrate it into his body. Yin-Yang realm cultivation was the minimum requirement to cultivate the mystic world body. It had to be said that Ling Shao was quite lucky. If his cultivation did not reach that level, he would not be able to cultivate it. The Yin-Yang realm mystic world body was also known as the barren body. This was the lowest stage of the mystic world body. In the Yin-Yang realm, every increase in cultivation level would increase the upper limit of 100 royal heaven-earth cells. Whether one could cultivate to 100 depended on one's aptitude. One should not underestimate these 100 royal heaven-earth cells. With them, Ling Shao could easily resist the attack of a first-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist with his physical body alone. He could easily kill a first-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist with his physical body alone. With 200 royal heaven-earth cells, he could disregard the attack of a second-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist with his physical body alone. He could easily kill a second-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist with his physical body alone. By analogy, if Ling Xiao's royal heaven-earth cells reached 1,800, he could easily face a peak Yin-Yang realm martial artist without batting an eyelid. He only needed one punch to kill his opponent. Chapter 16, 27. When the Emperor Earth Queen's cells reached 2,000, Ling Shao would be able to break through the barren physique and attain the Viscount physique. That would bring him to a whole new level. Cells were the most basic elements that formed the human body. The changes and strengthening of cells would lead to the strengthening of the entire physical body. The mystic world body was slowly cultivated this way. It was obvious that the mystic world body was created according to a martial artist's cultivation realm. It matched every realm perfectly. There were no obstacles in cultivating it at all. Half an hour later, Ling Shao opened his eyes. It was obvious that he had cultivated the mystic world body to its limit. The Emperor Earth Queen's cells in his body had also reached their limit. He was now at the peak of the second level of Yin-Yang realm and had entered the second level of the Hell of Scissors. The Hell Ghost Sword formation was the result of the fusion of the Hell of Tongue Ripping and the Hell of Scissors. Therefore, the maximum number of Imperial Heaven Queen of Earth cells that Ling Shao could convert now was 200. He could completely ignore a second-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Although Ling Shao was powerful in the past and could easily kill a second-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist, it was impossible for him to ignore a second-level yin-yang realm martial artist. If he was ambushed by a second-level yin-yang realm martial artist, he would be in deep trouble. However, it was different now. Even if the other party ambushed him, the other party would not be able to kill him. This was the obvious difference. I control the Dragon Phoenix continent. The Emperor Earth Queen's power is more than enough for me to convert 2,000 cells. It should be easy for me to reach the peak of the Baron physique and attain the Viscount physique. Therefore, what I need to do now is to increase my cultivation as soon as possible. Once my cultivation increases, my mystic world body will naturally increase as well. Ling Xiao had a clear goal when he thought of this. The palace was filled with heaven and earth spirit energy. In addition to the Emperor Earth Queen's power that he had just converted and the strengthening of his physical body, it was only a matter of time before he had a breakthrough in his cultivation. He sat down with his legs crossed and began to allow the energy in his body to break through the bottleneck of the third-level yin-yang realm. The Emperor Earth Queen's power merged into it and increased the force of the impact. The path of improvement that was originally sealed began to be attacked continuously. Finally, there was a slight opening. Continue. Ling Xiao smiled and took out a large number of spiritual stones and placed them around his body. As his cultivation progressed, a large amount of spiritual energy was extracted from the spirit stones and integrated into his body. The impact within his body grew stronger and stronger. It's done. After an hour, Ling Xiao felt the hope of a breakthrough. Suddenly, he condensed all the strength in his body and let out a soft cry. Rumble. In that instant, he felt as if the entire world had changed. His cultivation had finally advanced to the third level of the yin-yang realm. In fact, this breakthrough should have been completed long ago. After experiencing the battle with Feng Ming and the others, the accumulated power in his body had long matured. In addition, during the process of repairing the 5 elements heaven-earth yin-yang formation, he had comprehended many things. The only thing he lacked was time. This time, he had entered the Chang'e secret realm for the sake of breaking through. Now that his cultivation had broken through, he did not stop cultivating, because it wasn't enough. The energy in his body was still abundant. He wanted to consolidate his cultivation base and enter the third level of the Hell of Iron Tree. He wanted to consolidate his cultivation base at the peak of the third level of the yin-yang realm. His cultivation continued. Time continued to pass. A soul power came from outside, trying to communicate with him. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. Is it Sister Moon Maiden? I'm fine. Ask the people outside to come in. Then he explained the special situation of the Chang'e secret realm in detail. Then he felt the surging yin-yang origin energy in his body. He smiled and said, Sister Moon Maiden, I'm already a martial artist at the peak of the third level of the yin-yang realm. I can protect you in the future. Outside, the Moon Maiden's eyes were filled with tears. At the same time, she was a little nervous. Ling Xiao's cultivation breakthrough was seriously too fast. She was almost unable to keep up. It seems like it's time to pursue my own moonlight core. The Moon Maiden had made up her mind. Over the past few days, with Ling Xiao's help, she had basically gotten rid of the moonlight core's entanglement and the painful days. Ling Xiao had also refined a large number of pills for her. She believed that it would not be a problem even if she had to travel outside for more than 10 years. Aren't you going to tell him? Jiao Sword glanced at the Moon Maiden and asked, No need. Parting is too painful. You just have to tell him that I'm heading in the direction of the heavens' chosen gate. I believe that he will catch up soon. The Moon Maiden smiled and said, Moreover, it's not a life and death parting. I just want to become stronger so that I won't be left behind by him. He will understand. That's true. With your strength, at least in the White Tiger mainland, no one can do anything to you at this stage. However, it's hard to say if you're going forward. You still have to be careful. Jiao Sword reminded her. In the past, I even went to the heavens, chosen gate. The white tiger mainland is nothing. Although my cultivation has decreased greatly because of the moonlight core, I still have many friends. The moon maiden smiled. Then, she took a deep look at the Changel secret realm and finally left. What she did not know was that Ling Xiao had been watching her. Ling Xiao, who cultivated the mystic world body, had already controlled every movement in every corner of the Dragon Phoenix mainland. As long as he wanted to, he could see anything he wanted to see. In fact, Ling Xiao already had a premonition that the Moon Maiden would leave. As his cultivation continued to increase, the Moon Maiden thought that she would become a burden by staying by his side and would definitely choose to leave. However, when it came to this moment, he was still filled with reluctance. However, he did not stop her in the end. The Moon Maiden was not his slave, but his beloved. If she did not even have the right to choose, it would be too pitiful. He would just treat it as a small separation between a young couple. He believed that the two of them would be reunited very soon. He calmed himself down. Ling Xiao entered the cultivation state again. However, this time, he was not going to break through his cultivation. Instead, he was going to condense the Emperor Heaven Earth Queen cells and continue cultivating the mystic world body. The pain of having his cells shattered and then reborn stimulated his nerves once again. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead and his face was extremely pale. Almost all the muscles and bones in his body had become distorted. If someone was watching from the side, they would probably feel the pain. However, this was the case with the physique tempering technique. The price of pain was the constant strengthening and change of the body. If he could not even endure this pain, then he should not cultivate this physique tempering technique because it was really not suitable for him. In Ling Xiao's opinion, this kind of pain was probably another reason why physique tempering techniques were not popular among cultivators. Many cultivators were very pretentious now. It was probably because their living conditions were good that they could not endure the slightest bit of pain. They simply grew up like flowers in a greenhouse. Chapter 16:28. The body tempering technique usually required one to endure immense pain. However, many martial artists today were basically spoiled and had not suffered much. If you let such a person endure such terrible pain, he would probably choose to die. Ling Xiao's thoughts were completely different from theirs. Only through suffering can one rise to the top. Many people thought that this saying was stupid, but he regarded it as a classic. That was because he had been through this all along. One should know that he might face many dangers after stepping foot on the White Tiger mainland. Assassinations that had happened before might become common. Imagine the other party painstakingly avoiding all eyes and ears. When their sharp weapons were about to pierce your body, they suddenly realized that they could not pierce your body at all. That kind of scene was exciting just thinking about it. This was just defense. Not to mention the terrifying power of the Emperor Heaven Earth Queen cells. The other party tried to assassinate you, but could not hurt you even after half a day. However, you could kill them with one punch. Was this feeling great? In any case, Ling Xiao felt very good. Cultivation was boring, but it was also the best way to forget everything. Time. Pain. The pain of parting. At this moment, everything seemed to have condensed into a belief and motivation to move forward. Why did the Moon Lady leave him first? To put it bluntly, it was because he was not powerful enough. The Moon Lady felt that she could not protect him and might even become his burden. If his cultivation was enough to suppress his opponent, the Moon Lady would not have to leave. Popping, 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 popping. Popping sounds could be heard from his body. The pain was still there, but Ling Xiao did not grit his teeth like before. He had already gotten used to the pain and treated it as normal. 300 Emperor Heaven Earth Queen cells. Achieved. Ling Xiao exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and revealed a joyful smile. It seems like it can still be improved? He tried to continue cultivating and realized that he had broken through the limit. Logically speaking, as a third-level yin-yang cultivator, he should have 300 Emperor Heaven-Earth Queen cells at most. However, the number of Emperor Heaven-Earth Queen cells in his body had exceeded that. He understood that it might be because his physical body was strong to begin with. In the past, he had a large number of primordial golden dragon cells in his body. He could undergo more modifications than ordinary martial artists. He closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. When the number reached 400, it finally stopped, and the green and yellow light on its body disappeared. At the same time, the illusion of the Emperor's sky above his head and the Empress of Earth beneath his feet also disappeared. This is probably my limit right now. Ling Xiao stood up and gently waved his arms, feeling full of power. To be honest, he really wanted to find someone to spar with. He was currently at the 3rd level of the yin-yang realm, but he possessed 400 Emperor Heaven-Earth cells. Even if he was attacked by a martial artist at the 4th level of yin-yang realm, he would be safe and sound. As long as he wanted to, he could easily kill a 4th level yin-yang martial artist with one punch without using any inner energy. Even if he encountered an ordinary martial artist at the 5th level of the yin-yang realm, as long as that martial artist was courting death and dared to engage in close combat with him, he could guarantee that the martial artist would die a horrible death. Of course, the premise of all this was that the opponent didn't have a powerful offensive or defensive magic treasure. With his current physical defense, it would not be a problem for him to take on a precious grade spirit weapon head-on. If the opponent only had common grade, fine grade, or precious grade spirit weapons, they would be ineffective against him, unless the opponent's cultivation was much higher than his. It could be said that Ling Xiao's current physical body was basically invincible to those below the 4th level of the yin-yang realm. Whoever wanted to kill him would have to prepare a precious grade spirit weapon or above. However, it was very difficult to find a precious grade spirit weapon on the White Tiger mainland. It's time to leave. He turned back to look at the end of the pitch-black space. The empty darkness was no longer there, but the scene from before was still vivid in his mind. Who exactly was that unkempt person trapped inside? Every time he thought of that person's strength, Ling Xiao felt his entire body tremble. It was truly terrifying. In front of such a powerful existence, Ling Xiao felt that he was just an insignificant ant. But so what? Ling Xiao suddenly smiled. Even such a powerhouse couldn't go against the rules of that space, but I broke it. My future path is even wider than his. Just you wait, I've already remembered your aura. Today, you trapped me in the dark space. In the future, I will definitely take revenge for this. His mood seemed to be much better in an instant. Ling Xiao lifted his feet and walked out of the palace. Along the way, he met Jiu Mo Jian, Dan Feng, Long Chun, and the others. Almost all the martial artists above the half-step yin-yang realm were able to enter the Chang'e secret realm successfully. Everyone was sitting cross-legged there, cultivating and comprehending. They didn't even notice Ling Xiao's existence. Ling Xiao did not disturb them. Instead, he slowly walked outside. He had gained enough in the Chang'e secret realm. Next, he would bring a few martial artists who were qualified to participate in the White Tiger meet and head to the White Tiger mainland. He believed that with his current cultivation and strength, he would not be treated as a low-level martial artist and be bullied casually even in the White Tiger mainland. At this moment, outside the Chang'e Celestial Island, a flywheel ship suddenly appeared in the direction of the White Tiger mainland. There was one person sitting on the ship and several people standing. They all looked indignant, as if they were looking for trouble. Tian Hai Guangqiao was one of them. He belonged to the Water Spirit Temple and was half alligator of the Tian Hai clan. The death of the Tian Hai Pearl was a heavy blow to the Water Spirit Temple. At the same time, it gave many people in the Tian Hai Empire a reason to send troops out in anger. Although the Tian Hai Emperor forbade a large-scale attack on the Heavenly Empire, he said, Jianghu matters are settled in Jianghu. Thus, a few like-minded martial artists stepped onto this ship of vengeance. Tian Hai Kuangchao was very strong. He was not inferior to the first hero of the Water Spirit Temple's 7 heroes. He was only slightly weaker than the Dragon Prince and the Water God. It was a pity that he was 30 years old this year, so he did not have the chance to participate in the White Tiger meet. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would definitely see him at the banquet held in the heavenly killing dragon forest. Tian Hai Kuangchao really regretted it. If he had known that the Tian Hai Pearl was going to die, he would have stayed by her side. Now he only wanted to kill Ling Xiao and avenge the Tian Hai Pearl. As for the matter of Ling Xiao killing the 7 5th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artists, including Feng Ming Qishan, he had heard about it. He had also heard about it, but he believed that it was definitely not a battle under normal circumstances. Wasn't it widely rumored that Ling Xiao had plotted against Feng Ming Qishan and the other 6 people and trapped them in Ling Xiao's trap? Of course, he had been tricked. In order to prevent Ling Xiao from being complacent and smearing Ling Xiao's reputation, many rumors changed when they reached the White Tiger mainland. It was rumored that this kind of thing was just like women. They could dress up as they pleased. Chapter 16:29. Many things seemed to have been meticulously dressed up when they arrived at the White Tiger continent. They were completely different from before. Originally, Feng Ming had set a trap for Ling Xiao at Qi Mountain. However, when they reached the White Tiger continent, the rumor became that Ling Xiao had shamelessly set a trap and separated the 7 people. He had relied on the help of the Moon Lady, and the demonic liquor Sword to Win. Tian Hai Kuangchao believed this without a doubt. If not, he would not be able to understand how a 17-year-old youth could kill 7 peak Yin-Yang realm experts at the same time. Was he still human? Tian Hai Kuangchao was Tian Hai Pearl's cousin, but he was not a martial artist from the Water God Temple. He was a disciple of the Tian Hai Saint Institution, a stronger sect in the Tian Hai Empire. The Tian Hai Saint Institution was considered a national sect in the Tian Hai Empire. It was the highest level sect in the Tian Hai Empire. Even in the entire White Tiger continent, it was ranked in the upper tier. It was much stronger than the Water God Temple and the Dragon Phoenix Mountain. Of course, Tian Hai Kuangchao did not know the other people on the ship. They were not disciples of the Saint Institution. They were just like-minded martial artists who wanted to kill Ling Xiao, so they were on the way. The ship docked at the port of Chang'e Celestial Island. As the port was in a state of alert, they could not enter. Ask your heavenly emperor Ling Xiao to come out. Tell him that Tian Hai Pearl's cousin, Tian Hai Kuangchao, is looking for him. Tian Hai Kuangchao stood at the bow of the ship and roared at the port. However, no one responded. The martialists of the Last Joy, Celestial Island, worshipped Ling Xiao like a god. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry was qualified to challenge their celestial emperor. The ship continued to move forward. Finally, someone at the port said, "Stop the ship from the White Tiger continent immediately. The Chang'e Celestial Island is currently in a state of alert. No ships from the White Tiger continent are allowed to enter. If you want to go to the island, stop the ship at the Bay Reef. There's a temporary stop there. Our island master is cultivating. When they come out, we'll see if they're willing to see you." This person was telling the truth. Ancestor Chang'e, Zhu Wen Mou, and the others had all gone to the Chang'e secret realm to cultivate. At this moment, there were no experts on the island. If the other party managed to sneak onto the island, it would be disastrous. Therefore, he would never allow the other party to come close. Listen to our warning and leave immediately. Otherwise, we will activate the formation to attack. The people at the port continued to shout. However, before they could attack, the array cannons on the ship had already started firing. At the moment of the explosion, a 5-colored barrier appeared above the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island. All the attacks ended there, not causing any damage to the island. It's the five elements heaven, earth, yin yang formation. Hee, our heavenly emperor is really powerful. The martial artists on the island went from panic to surprise and confidence. Although he knew that Ling Xiao had repaired the five-element heaven-earth yin-yang formation, it was still just a formation. It was hard to say whether it would have the effects as rumored, but after being verified in reality, the power of this formation was really quite formidable. Counterattack. On the port, the martial artist guarding the port ordered. Therefore, the array cannons based on the five-element heaven-earth yin-yang formation bombarded the ship. The ship swayed left and right in the stormy ocean like a leaf drifting on the waves. It seemed like it could be sunk at any time. When did the everlasting joy immortal island have such a barrier? This Ling Xiao is really as timid as a mouse. He doesn't dare to come out and fight, but he uses such a small trick. On the ship, a martial artist cursed. Let's retreat first and wait on the bay reef over there. I don't believe that no martial artists from the everlasting joy immortal island will come out. In the future, we will kill whoever comes out. I don't believe that Ling Xiao won't fight. Tian Hai Kwang Chao said coldly. Agreed. The ship was swaying in the wind and rain and could be sunk at any time, so no one wanted to continue taking the risk. In any case, the Bay Reef was very close to the everlasting joy immortal island, only about a nautical mile away. They could observe the situation of the port at any time. The wait was long. This group of people stayed on the Bay Reef for a full 2 hours, but Ling Xiao still didn't appear. Even the slightly stronger martial artists didn't show up. A bunch of cowards. What kind of bullshit, Heavenly Emperor, is Ling Xiao? He's just a coward. A real man dares to do what he wants, but now he doesn't even dare to show his face. What a joke! What a waste! On the Bay Reef, the thunderous voice of Tian Hai Kwang Chao could be heard clearly by all the martial artists of the everlasting joy immortal island. I don't know why this guy is so arrogant. If it weren't for the experts of our heavenly empire entering the everlasting joy secret realm to cultivate, he wouldn't have the chance to be so arrogant. The martial artists of the everlasting joy immortal island were furious. Their heavenly emperor was humiliated like this, but he couldn't do anything. Some of the neutral martial artists on the island didn't know the truth and were very confused. Could it be that the battle at the top of the everlasting joy immortal island was fake? Was it a rumor deliberately created by the heavenly empire to raise Ling Xiao's reputation? Otherwise, being humiliated like this and not daring to come out and fight was not Ling Xiao's style at all. Martial artists of the everlasting joy immortal island, listen up. Today we came only for Ling Xiao. Remove the array as soon as possible. Otherwise, the day we break the array, the everlasting joy immortal island will be bathed in blood. Tian Hai Kwang Chao floated in the air, domineering and arrogant. What he said was his plan. You want to break the array set up by our heavenly emperor? Dream on. The martial artists of the everlasting joy immortal island were unmoved. They even wanted to laugh. However, the neutral martial artists were a little flustered. They didn't understand how powerful the five-elemental heaven yin-yang array was, so they were already thinking about how to leave. Tian Hai Kwang Chao looked back at the old man on the seat and said, Old Qin, can you break this array? He had come prepared this time. He had heard that Ling Xiao was an expert in arrays. It was even rumored that the 7 5th-level yin-yang realm experts, including Feng Ming and Qi Shan, were trapped by Ling Xiao's array and were defeated one by one. In the end, 6 of them died tragically and 1 was crippled. Old Qin was a very famous array master on the White Tiger mainland. Moreover, his cultivation was unfathomable. With him around, breaking the array wouldn't be difficult. This array is called the Five-Elemental Heaven Yin-Yang Array. It was passed down from the era of the true Demon Empire. Although it's powerful, it's not without weaknesses. Give me 2 hours, and I'll be able to break it. Old man Qin stood up. His eyes were bright and full of expression, revealing a strong self-confidence. All right, old Qin, you think of a way to break the array. We'll support you. Since Ling Xiao doesn't dare to come out and fight, we'll massacre the everlasting Joy Immortal Island and see if he comes out. Perhaps it was because Ling Xiao didn't come out that these people became bolder. It was as if Ling Xiao was really afraid of them. Chapter 1630. Elder Qin from the White Tiger continent was indeed capable. As time passed, cracks began to appear on the 5 elements heaven-earth yin-yang formation on Chang'e Celestial Island. The martial artists on Chang'e Celestial Island were anxious when they saw this. They were relying on the protection of this formation. If this formation was destroyed, they would be in danger. Even Tianhai Quangchao alone could easily eliminate all the martial artists on Chang'e Celestial Island, let alone the dozen of them. What should they do? Hurry up and report to the Chang'e Secret Realm. Otherwise, something big will happen. The martial artists guarding the harbor knew the severity of the situation. Since they did not have the ability, they naturally had to find powerhouses to help. Fortunately, all the powerhouses above the half-step yin-yang realm in the Heavenly Dynasty Empire were in the Chang'e Secret Realm. As long as they could find powerhouses like the Demonic Liquor Sword, Chang'e Ancestor, and Danfeng, they would not be afraid of being bullied. There's no need to go. Suddenly, a slightly angry voice came from afar. They did not see anyone, but they knew it was Ling Xiao from the voice. It's His Majesty, the Heavenly Emperor. That's great. His Majesty, the Heavenly Emperor, has come out of seclusion. Although they did not see anyone, the martial artists on Chang'e Celestial Island were excited. Ling Xiao had come out of seclusion. Now that their Heavenly Emperor had come, they did not have to worry about anything. In their eyes, Ling Xiao was an undefeatable god of war, an absolute powerhouse. With him around, there was no problem that could not be solved. Ling Xiao stood out from the Heavenly Dragon Continent and stepped into the Divine Phoenix Continent. Now he dominated the Dragon Phoenix Continent and became a demon lord. Although many people did not see his fighting history with their own eyes, they had definitely heard of it. Currently, all kinds of books on the Dragon Phoenix Continent recorded Ling Xiao's legendary history. There was also the story of Ling Xiao, who had turned into a storyteller that could be heard anywhere. In addition, Ling Xiao had single-handedly killed 6 of the 7-peak yin-yang realm 5th level experts and crippled 1. Many martial artists on Chang'e Celestial Island had seen it with their own eyes. They could not believe other rumors, but seeing it with their own eyes could not be false. The neutral martial artists also stopped fleeing in panic. With Ling Xiao around, they seemed to feel a little safer. Who dares to be impudent in the territory of my Heavenly Dynasty Empire? A moment later, Ling Xiao appeared in front of everyone. The sun and moon divine wings spread out behind his back and floated in midair. Of course, he looked like an immortal that had descended to the mortal world. Are you Ling Xiao? Outside the everlasting Joy Immortal Island, more than 10 warriors looked at Ling Xiao at the same time. Old Man Qin and Tianhai Quangchao also stopped their attacks, although they were about to break the 5 elements heaven-earth yin-yang formation. This formation was actually more troublesome than they had imagined. Old Man Qin said that he would solve the problem in 2 hours, but in reality, this time might be delayed by 6 hours. He might not be able to completely break the formation. Now that Ling Xiao had appeared, it was as if he had found a way out, so he stopped what he was doing. That's right, I am Ling Xiao, the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Empire. Who are you? Ling Xiao looked at these people coldly. Most of the ships that came from the White Tiger Continent should be warriors from the White Tiger Continent. Bah! What dogs hit Celestial Emperor? He's just a coward. Tianhai Quangchao scolded. Listen, I'm Tianhai Quangchao, a disciple of the White Tiger Continent's Tianhai Academy. I'll give you 2 hours to come out and fight with me. Otherwise, when we break the 5 elements heaven-earth yin-yang formation, We'll wash the everlasting joy immortal island with blood and make you regret it. What big words! What arrogant behavior! A sharp killing intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He had already unified the Dragon Phoenix continent and killed Phoenix Cry Mountain. Now that there were still people provoking him, he must be killed without mercy. Otherwise, his dignity as the Celestial Emperor would be gone, and in the future, even cats and dogs would come to find trouble with him. The people of the Tianhai Empire are all good at talking. Ling Xiao chuckled. Then, in a flash, he was already out of the everlasting joy immortal island. Old Qin and the other warriors were shocked, and they all retreated a few hundred meters away. Only Tianhai, Guangchao faced Ling Xiao proudly as if nothing was in his eyes. You're quite bold to come to the everlasting joy immortal island to die. I'm guessing that someone instigated you. Tell me who instigated you, and I'll spare your life and only cripple one of your arms. Ling Xiao's voice was indifferent and had a tinge of contempt. He did not take Tianhai, Guangchao seriously at all. Before entering the everlasting joy secret realm, Ling Xiao was already able to kill Phoenix Cry Mountain. Now that he was out of the everlasting joy secret realm, Ling Xiao's strength had increased tremendously. Why would he be afraid of Tianhai Guangchao, who was much weaker than Phoenix Cry Mountain? Although they were both at the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm, Tianhai Guangchao did not have the domineering aura of Phoenix Cry Mountain. What arrogance! Tianhai Guangchao roared. Since you've come out today, I'll use you as a sacrifice. After I destroy you, I'll destroy the Heavenly Dynasty Empire. The Dragon Phoenix continent is not something that a mere human like you has the right to occupy. After saying that, stormy waves appeared behind Tianhai Guangchao. This martial soul was quite special. Natural-type martial souls were usually very powerful, especially in this stormy ocean. They could cause the waves of the ocean to surge. Why aren't you showing me your martial soul? Otherwise, you won't be able to take a single blow. Tianhai Guangchao did not attack immediately. As if to show his benevolence, he even gave Ling Xiao a chance to release his martial soul. You really think too highly of yourself. To deal with you, I don't even need to use my inner strength, let alone my martial soul. Ling Xiao sneered in disdain. He then took a step forward and flapped the sun-moon divine wings on his back. His figure suddenly charged forward and was already in front of Tianhai Guangchao. He did not release his martial soul. He did not use any weapons. He did not even use any inner strength. He just threw a solid punch, as if he was an ordinary person fighting. Ling Xiao is underestimating his opponent. Isn't he afraid that he will fail miserably? That's right. No matter what, his opponent is still a level 5 Yin-Yang realm expert. He's underestimating his opponent too much. A few exclamations came from the crowd. Everyone was in disbelief at Ling Xiao's rash attack. Tianhai Guangchao sneered. He thought to himself, everyone says that Ling Xiao is arrogant and conceited. Now that I've seen it, it's true. Since you're courting death, don't blame me. He would not stupidly exchange blows with Ling Xiao. The martial soul behind him roared and formed a huge wave in front of him. It charged towards Ling Xiao. After doing that, he looked ahead coldly. He was confident that after this attack, even if Ling Xiao did not die, he would be severely injured. Boom! However, something unexpected happened. With a loud bang, the huge wave was shattered by Ling Xiao's punch. Then, Ling Xiao's fist was still heading towards his head. Tianhai Guangchao realized that something was wrong. He threw out both his fists and collided with Ling Xiao's fist. Chapter 1631. After a dull thud, Tianhai Guangchao was pushed back dozens of meters. He somersaulted a few times in the sky and finally fell into the stormy ocean. He was in a sorry state. Tianhai Guangchao jumped out of the water, but his arms were trembling nonstop. His heart was filled with terror. Was Ling Xiao's fist? It was like the arm of a demon. Not only was it terrifyingly powerful, but it was also as hard as cold iron. He felt like he was facing a giant instead of a human. After Ling Xiao pushed Tianhai Kuangchao back, he had no intention of pursuing him. Instead, he stood in the air and beckoned Tianhai Kuangchao. Again, when the crowd saw this, their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Ling Xiao wasn't this strong before, right? He could easily push back a martial artist at the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm with just his physical strength. Wasn't this a little too valiant? How was he human? Could he be some kind of giant beast? After a long time, Tianhai Kuangchao finally felt the trembling and pain in his arms gradually disappear. His face was extremely gloomy, and there was even a hint of fear. Ling Xiao was much stronger than he imagined. Were the rumors false? Ling Xiao didn't use any improper means and defeated Phoenix, Cry Qishan, with his own strength? What's wrong? Would the Tianhai Empire send trash like you to your death? Ling Xiao looked at Tianhai Kuangchao and said disdainfully, "The 7 heroes of the Water God Temple are trash. Compared to them, you're worse than trash." "How dare you call me trash?" "No one has ever dared to call me that." Tianhai Kuangchao was furious. He was a martial artist from the Tianhai Sacred Academy, one of the top sects in the Tianhai Empire. It was a first-rate sect in the White Tiger continent. Yet he was called trash by a martial artist from the small Dragon Phoenix continent. This was intolerable. If he couldn't kill Ling Xiao today, and this news spread to the sect, he would definitely be despised by everyone. "So what if I call you trash? You can't even take a punch from me," Ling Xiao said calmly. "Good, very good. Then I'll show you the true strength of a disciple of the Tianhai Sacred Academy." Tianhai Kuangchao was truly infuriated. Frenzied waves roared around him. He was like a water god, standing on top of the waves and glaring furiously at Ling Xiao. "Die!" With a roar, the waves threw him towards Ling Xiao like a cannonball. In the void, Tianhai Kuangchao punched out with both his fists. Large amounts of water gathered and formed hundreds of huge crocodiles. They roared and bit at Ling Xiao. The fist had not yet arrived, but the crocodile's roar had already sounded. This was the bloodline ability of the alligators of the Tianhai Empire. It was rumored that the more crocodiles the fist force condensed, the more powerful it would be. The fact that the heavenly sea raging tide could condense 100 crocodile phantoms was already quite impressive. Which martial artist could easily withstand the attacks of over 100 giant crocodiles? Tianhai Kuangchao had never seen one. The opponents he met in the past, even if they were of the same level, would be defeated as long as he used this. Some were even torn to pieces on the spot. Then I'll be miserable. Good. Ling Xiao still didn't use his internal strength. His single fist turned into 2 fists and collided with this. Rumble. The terrifying roar sounded. The waves on the storm sea below roared and rose dozens of meters high. It was a shocking scene. The martial artists on the Everlasting Joy Celestial Island were shocked. After the collision, Ling Xiao retreated 10 meters. Tianhai Kuangchao stood there motionless. Tianhai Kuangchao couldn't help but laugh. "Ha ha ha, Ling Xiao, oh Ling Xiao, you're just SOO. Once I use my true strength, you won't be able to take it. If I use this. What if I use this? Will you be torn to pieces in an instant? I'm not afraid to tell you that Mize easily killed a 6th level Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Don't run if you can. Run. I'm standing here. Come and kill me if you can." Ling Xiao sneered. Until now, he hadn't used any of his internal strength. He didn't know what Tianhai Kuangchao was so happy about. What a joke. It's good that you're not running. Let your stupid people see how you'll die. Tianhai Kuangchao was furious. Ling Xiao's expression didn't change even after he used this. Even the mocking smile on his face didn't change at all. Tian Hai Guangchao was so furious that he was about to go crazy. He must kill this guy. He must. Although I don't need to use this. Since you're so arrogant, I'll let you experience the despair before death. As Tian Hai Guangchao spoke, he gathered his yin-yang force. A large amount of water vapor gathered on his body. Then he punched with both his fists. The sky seemed to be torn apart in an instant. The terrifying crocodile's roar was 10 times louder than before. Many people couldn't help but cover their ears. Even the monsters in the deep sea were scared out of their wits. Crocodile bloodline, this. Devour the sun and moon. Destroy everything. Tear everything apart. Kill, 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 kill. Tian Hai Guangchao let out a thunderous roar. Then his body was enveloped by the crazy waves. He charged at Ling Xiao with this. His aura was truly ferocious. Many of the onlooking martial artists were dumbfounded. The strength of 1,000 gigantic crocodiles was indeed terrifying. The giant crocodile was an ancient giant beast. Even if it was just pure strength, it was enough to frighten people. When the heavenly sea raging tide flew over, everyone seemed to see space being torn apart. Ling Xiao actually had no way to escape. This bloodline power is amazing. Facing such a crisis, Ling Xiao didn't panic. Instead, a smile appeared on his face. You have bloodline power, but I have Emperor Heaven Earth. Let's compete and see who's the stronger. The surface of his body started to flicker with green and gold light. Then the Emperor Heaven Earth cells in his body started to awaken one by one. One of his fists was green and the other was golden. He was like an invincible overlord who stood at the pinnacle of heaven and stepped on the earth. Previously, he had been eager to find an opponent to test just how strong his profound world body was. Now that someone came knocking on his door, he was happy. Why would he be afraid? Looking at Tian Hai Guangchao, he took a step forward with his right foot. Then he punched out, "Release," for 100 Emperor Heaven Earth cells. In that instant, the space in front of Ling Xiao was truly distorted. And it wasn't as if it was. Because the power released in an instant was too terrifying, it caused the space to reach the limit of what it could withstand. Chapter 1632. Ling Xiao's sudden and terrifying punch caused space to distort. Fortunately, the mystic world had the ability to self-repair and adapt. After a moment of distortion, it returned to normal. Ling Xiao's Imperial Heaven Earth fist collided with Tian Hai Guangchao's strength of 1,000 crocodiles. 1,000 crocodiles roared. The Imperial Heaven Earth fist roared. The moment the two powers collided, space distorted again. A huge whirlpool formed on the surface of the sea and spiraled upwards. The scene was extremely shocking. Shatter! The 1,000 crocodiles began to shatter inch by inch under the pressure of the Imperial Heaven Earth Fist. This made Tian Hai Guangchao's expression extremely ugly. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The bloodline power of the crocodile race was the pride of the crocodile race. It was the symbol of the Tian Hai Empire's strength. The ferocity of the giant crocodiles was extremely powerful even in the primordial era. The strength of 1,000 crocodiles could completely tear apart any martial artist of the same realm. The Tian Hai Empire's martial artists had never failed in this aspect. However, this time, Tian Hai Guangchao was faced with an extremely awkward situation. Ling Xiao was a third-level yin-yang realm martial artist. Not only did he block his strength of 1,000 crocodiles, but he also clearly had the upper hand. "You're too weak." Ling Xiao's cold voice rang in Tian Hai Guangchao's ears. Then the power of the Imperial Heaven Queen of Earth finally shattered the 1,000 giant crocodiles. Ling Zhao's fists landed heavily on Tianhai Quangchao's chest. Crack! Tianhai Quangchao felt as if something had shattered. His chest completely caved in. His body was like a kite with a broken string as he rapidly fell into the stormy ocean. What a terrifying attack! What a domineering attack! He doesn't give his opponent any chance to survive. All the martial artists on Everlasting Joy, Celestial Island were shocked by Ling Zhao's attack. At the same time, the White Tiger Continent's martial artists who came with Tianhai Quangchao to cause trouble actually all left in an instant. Ling Zhao's terrifying strength really gave them a fright. None of them could block Tianhai Quangchao's strength of 1,000 crocodiles. Especially on the Divine Phoenix continent, they could only display the strength of a 5th-level yin-yang realm at most. That would make it even harder to resist. Skysi Quangchao allowed his body to fall into the stormy ocean. This way, he could take the opportunity to escape. Ling Zhao's strength had far exceeded his expectations. He could not even muster the slightest thought of resisting. Run! That was the only thought in his mind. However, would Ling Zhao give him this opportunity? With a flash of light, Ling Zhao appeared behind Skysi Quangchao, using one hand to block Skysi Quangchao's falling body. Then he raised it up. Isn't it a little too late to escape now? I gave you a chance before, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Ling Zhao's cold voice resounded in the sky. Everyone on the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island knew that this guy called Tianhai Quangchao was finished. Looks like on the Dragon Phoenix continent, this celestial emperor of the Celestial Empire can already be said to be invincible. A martial artist in the crowd sighed. Yeah, no matter how many people the White Tiger continent sends, they're just sending themselves to their deaths. I don't think anyone else will come in the future. Another person also said, those who come will never return. No one is that stupid. Skysi Quangchao's heart was filled with fear. His body was almost unrecognizable. Many of his bones were broken, and his 7 orifices were bleeding. If he was not treated in time, he would undoubtedly die. Save me! I beg you, save me! Skysi Quangchao's mournful cries for help continued to resound. He did not want to die. He really did not want to die. It was really not easy to cultivate to this level. If he died, there would be nothing left. As long as you save me, I can report to the Skysi Empire and spare your life. Hee, you're still saying such things even now. Ling Zhao laughed disdainfully and said, Are you stupid? Ling Zhao, I'm not joking. The strength of the Skysi Empire is not something you can understand. A martial artist with my strength is nothing in the Skysi Saint Court. I'm just an outer court disciple. You're indeed incomparably powerful in the Dragon Phoenix continent, and no one can defeat you. But there, you can't do without the help of friends. I can help you, Skysi Quangchao hurriedly said. Although his mouth was full of blood, his words were still quite sharp. What you said is quite tempting, but unfortunately I don't trust you and I don't need it. Ling Zhao chuckled, and then a cold light flashed in his eyes. If you're done with your nonsense, you can die now. No, I still have something to say. Skysi Quangchao shouted in horror. Say it, Ling Zhao said indifferently. If I say it, can you let me go? Skysi Quangchao only wanted to live. As long as he could live, he would do anything, including betraying his parents and friends. That depends on whether what you say is valuable or not. Ling Zhao still had that indifferent tone. Skysi Quangchao gritted his teeth and said, Ling Zhao, do you know that I came to kill you this time with the tacit consent of the Skysi Emperor? The Dragon Prince of the Water God Temple has already told the Emperor everything that happened here. That's it. After Ling Zhao heard it, he didn't even blink because he felt that it was meaningless. He could think of such a thing even if he used his thighs. There's more, Skysi Quangchao hurriedly said. If you want to go to the White Tiger continent, your first stop must be the Dragon Phoenix Mountain. I'm not afraid to tell you that the Dragon Prince has already set up a killing trap there, waiting for you to fall into the trap. I advise you not to go, or you'll die without a doubt. This information is a bit valuable, but unfortunately, it still can't offset my anger, so you'd better die. Relax, I'll give you a comfortable death." Ling Xiao smiled slightly, released killing intent from his hand, and instantly rushed into Sky-Si Guangchao's body. At that moment, Sky-Si Guangchao lost consciousness. Then, he threw the corpse to the celestial island of Last Joy. "Find a place to bury him. At least leave him with a complete corpse." "Yes, Your Majesty." The martial artists of the celestial island of Last Joy looked at Ling Xiao with admiration. He was really too powerful, ridiculously powerful. A martial artist at the 5th level of the Inyan realm was like a fool in Ling Xiao's hands and was easily killed. This was their heavenly emperor. This was their devil lord. After saying that, Ling Xiao turned and flew into the distance. Everyone knew that Ling Xiao was going to chase after those people who came to the celestial island of Last Joy to cause trouble with Sky-Si Guangchao. They all knew Ling Xiao's character very well. It was impolite not to reciprocate. He would definitely seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Wanting to leave so easily after coming here? Wasn't that just a dream? Above the stormy ocean, a ship was speeding toward the White Tiger continent at an extremely fast speed. However, no matter how fast it was, it couldn't be faster than the brilliant stream of light in the sky. Chapter 1633. Ling Xiao was in the sky and already locked onto that ship on the sea. "Since you're here, why leave in such a hurry?" He suddenly plummeted, charging towards the ship with extreme speed, as if directly falling. When he was less than 5 meters away from the ship, his speed abruptly slowed down, landing on the deck. The entire process was like moving clouds and flowing water, handling with ease. Ling Xiao. On the ship, there were a total of 12 martial artists, including that Elder Qin. Seeing Ling Xiao appear, each of their hearts thumped, knowing that Tianhai Guangchao was already killed, and it was absolutely impossible for them to leave easily either. They looked at Ling Xiao, and Ling Xiao also looked at them. Although these people's clothes were all different, through their outer clothes with the Taiji eye, one could see that there was actually a strange tattoo on their bodies. This tattoo looked more like an otherworldly demon. No wonder he could sense a strong, evil aura from these people's bodies. Ling Xiao himself possessed the primordial Sky Fiend battle intent and was especially familiar with this feeling. "Looks like that Tianhai Guangchao was fooled by you guys. Clearly martial artists of the same sect, but insisted on pretending not to know each other." Ling Xiao's voice revealed some mockery and ridicule. "Impressive. Didn't expect that you actually saw through it. The Celestial Empire's Heavenly Emperor indeed lives up to his reputation." Elder Qin simply took off his outer clothes, revealing a black warrior outfit below. On that black outfit, there was a sinister aura. It should be a special artifact-type garment. The other 11 martial artists all had the same clothes on them. "You think that you're chasing after us? But you don't know that we deliberately lured you here." Elder Qin's expression also suddenly became ferocious and cold. Ling Xiao sensed that this place seemed to be different from other sea regions. The sinister fiendish aura was very obvious. Most likely, if ordinary martial artists stood here, they would probably immediately become very weak. But what threat did this have to him? He did not quite understand, and also could not be bothered to think about it. He gave that Elder Qin an indifferent glance and said, "You guys are also martial artists of the Tianhai Empire, right?" "That's right, Tianhai Empire, Heavenly Fiend Cult." Old Man Qin didn't hide anything and directly replied, "Heavenly Demon Cult? Oh, I've heard of it. It seems to be a shady sect in the Tianhai Empire. Do I have a grudge against you?" Ling Xiao was very curious. He shouldn't have any interactions with the Heavenly Demon Cult, but they actually wanted to kill him. It was simply baffling. Did they really think that he was a pushover that anyone could bully? Humph, those people are just afraid of the strength of our Saint Church. That's why they're doing everything they can to stop us from becoming stronger. Old Man Chin coldly snorted and said, "We indeed have no enmity with you, but we need funds, we need resources to strengthen the heavenly demon cult. We are just taking someone's money to get rid of them. Ling Shao, to be able to die in the hands of the 12 of us, you should feel honored to have died a worthy death. When the Holy Church unifies the mystic world in the future, you'll be considered a stepping stone. I'm afraid you'll leave a deep mark in the history of the Holy Church." "Haha, if that's the case, I should thank you instead," Ling Shao said with a smile. "There's no need to thank us. You, on the other hand, are a promising talent. It would be a pity if you died. As long as you're willing to swallow this soul-seize bug and pledge your loyalty to the Holy Church, we can spare your life." Old Man Chin stretched out his hand, and a black bug appeared in his palm. The bug was only about an inch long and was completely black. Only its 2 eyes shone with a blood-red light. Don't underestimate this little thing. The reason why the soul-seize bug was so frightening was that once it was implanted into a body, it could hide for a long time. It lived on a martial artist's soul power. There would be no problem if the martial artist was obedient. However, if they betrayed the Holy Church, the soul-seize bug would directly devour their soul and turn them into a walking corpse. The heavenly demon cult really isn't anything good. To think that you would use such a vicious method. Ling Shao glanced coldly at the soul-seize bug, but immediately smiled. "I like to be enemies with shameless people like you, because I don't feel any burden or guilt in my heart. Looks like you won't give in." Old Man Chin asked coldly, "What do you think?" Ling Shao shrugged and said coldly, "If that's the case, then die." Old Man Chin waved his hand, and the other 11 people suddenly pulled out their weapons. It was a black short blade. They then spread out and formed a strange blade array with Old Man Chin. Interesting. Ling Shao couldn't help but reveal an interested expression. The power of the saber formation formed by the 12 of them was definitely much stronger than that of the 12 of them working together. If it was anyone else with his cultivation facing such an enemy, they would probably only have one choice, which was to escape. But he, Ling Shao, was an exception. "Before I die, can I ask you a question?" Ling Shao suddenly asked very seriously. "You brat, you actually know how to be afraid. All right, ask." Old Man Chin was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud. To be able to make the majestic heavenly emperor of the heavenly empire admit defeat, to him, this was absolutely incomparable pride. "Who sent you to kill me?" Ling Shao asked. You should be able to guess the answer to this question. Old Man Chin didn't answer, instead throwing the question back to Ling Shao. "I understand. It's the Water God Hall, or to be more precise, that Dragon Crown Prince? I'm very curious. Didn't he tell you, and that idiot Tian Hai Guangchao, that I humiliated them in the Killing Dragon Forest? Did you know that he was just sending you to your deaths as cannon fodder?" Ling Shao asked again. "You're smart, but of course we know this. The Dragon Crown Prince is a member of the Water God Hall. He's eager for you to become enemies with the Tian Hai Sacred Academy. If Tian Hai Guangchao can kill you, that's for the best. Your Tian Hai Empire will inevitably be at odds with the Tian Hai Sacred Academy, and the Water God Hall will be able to profit from it. But if you kill Tian Hai Guangchao, you will inevitably become enemies with the Tian Hai Sacred Academy, and he will also be able to reap the benefits. This is simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone." Old Man Chin indifferently said, "And we are the same. The only difference is that Tian Hai Guangchao is an idiot who has been kept in the dark. We, on the other hand, know what we want and what we are doing." What a strategy of driving the tiger to devour the wolf. But, to put it bluntly, don't you think that the Dragon Crown Prince is playing this trick because he's afraid of me? Ling Xiao looked at Old Man Qin with a bit of contempt and said, "You say that Tian Hai Kuangchao is stupid, but I think you guys are even more stupid. If you die, the Dragon Crown Prince won't have to pay any price. And if I die, all of you will definitely be silenced as well. In the end, the most pitiful ones are you guys who think you're infallible." Chapter 1634. Of course we've thought about that, but you'll definitely be the one to die. Moreover, it won't be that easy for the Dragon Prince to silence us. Old Man Qin said coldly, "You're really stubborn. Forget it, let's make our move. Let me see how strong your so-called heavenly demon cult is, daring to come to Everlasting Joy Celestial Island to cause trouble for me, and even daring to wait for me here." Ling Xiao was too lazy to care about who was the mastermind behind this conspiracy and who was being used. In any case, as long as anyone came to deal with him, he would destroy them. It was very simple, and there was no need to worry too much about it. You've got guts, but we won't show you any mercy. Although Old Man Qin said so, he did not dare to be careless in the slightest when facing Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Xiao was able to destroy almost all of the Water Spirit Temple's 7 heroes in slaying Dragon Forest, leaving only the number 1 hero and the Dragon Prince. The rest had all died in battle. In addition, he had seen the scene where Ling Xiao killed Tian Hai Kuangchao with his own eyes. Although he was fully prepared, he did not dare to be careless. Otherwise, he could only swallow the bitter fruit of failure. And failure meant death. Set up the formation, Heavenly Demon Power. Old Man Qin waved his hand, and the 12 people, including him, emitted a black light. The aura of the black saber in their hands also became heavier and more terrifying. It really is Heavenly Demon Power. Ling Xiao stared at the black light on these people and nodded to himself. The feeling of this power was too similar to his immemorial heavenly demon, except that it was not as pure and powerful. It seemed that there were still surviving heavenly demons in this mystic world, but they had hidden themselves. The heavenly demon cult was very likely a sect secretly established by a surviving heavenly demon, and what they were doing was nothing more than recovering their strength. After all, after the immemorial war, although the vitality of the myriad races was greatly damaged, the heavenly demons were basically exhausted. Even if they did not die, they were seriously injured. It would not be easy for these guys to recover, and they would definitely have to use the living beings of the myriad races. Among the myriad races, there was no lack of cultivators who were willing to cooperate with the heavenly demons, perhaps serving them while gaining strength. The heavenly demon cult was basically filled with such people. The black light gradually stabilized and gradually formed the appearance of the heavenly demon, enveloping the 12 martial artists. The air was filled with a terrifying and evil aura. This kind of aura, if it was someone else, would probably be very uncomfortable. However, Ling Xiao felt somewhat fortunate to be in the middle of it all. He had been worrying about how to increase the power of his heavenly demon incarnation. After all, the Golden Crow avatar was illuminated by the Scarlet Sun and could be improved no matter what. If he wanted to level up with his heavenly demon incarnation, he definitely couldn't do without this evil demonic chi. Now that someone had come knocking on his door, it would be impolite for him to refuse. "Kill!" Old Man Qin bellowed. Then the 12 of them charged towards Ling Xiao at the same time. The black blade seemed to be connected to a strange energy, and it exploded with astonishing power. It actually made Ling Xiao's body feel a chill. The saber formation was indeed a saber formation. If the 12 of them joined forces, even a martial artist at the 6th level of the Yin-Yang realm would be killed. Ling Xiao didn't think it was possible for him to win, so what he had to do first was to destroy the saber formation. The biggest weakness of a formation that used humans was that once one of them was killed, the saber formation would immediately be broken, and it would no longer be able to unleash its original power. However, the attacker knew this weakness, and so did the person who set up the formation. Therefore, The priority of this kind of formation was self-protection. If you wanted to kill one of them, it really wasn't that easy. This was because when you attacked one of them, the rest of them would attack you. Even if you could kill that person, you would definitely die. In Ling Xiao's opinion, if he wanted to break the formation, he could only fight with the formation. He had already thought of a countermeasure, so a heavenly demon phantom appeared behind him. 11th Shadow Profundity, Heavenly Demon Incarnation. His body was enveloped by the heavenly demon phantom, and the terrifying heavenly demon power wreaked havoc, forming gusts of evil wind. This was the heavenly demon incarnation formed by the primordial heavenly demon fighting intent. It was much stronger than the heavenly demon power that the 12 of them borrowed. When his heavenly demon incarnation was released, those 12 people's movements clearly paused for a moment. They clearly did not expect that their heavenly demon power would actually be firmly suppressed by Ling Xiao's heavenly demon power. This was not mentioned in the information that the Dragon Crown Prince gave them at all. Old Qin suddenly had a terrifying thought in his heart. He suddenly felt that what Ling Xiao said before was right. Heavenly Sea Kuang Chao was stupid. They were even more stupid than Heavenly Sea Kuang Chao. The Dragon Crown Prince was using them, and he was using them for nothing. He was simply sending them to their deaths. However, there was already no way out at this time. Riding a tiger, it was hard to get off. Ling Xiao could not possibly let them retreat unscathed. Once they attacked, they had to fight to the death. Otherwise, there was only death. Don't be afraid. Kill! Old Qin roared, and his aura skyrocketed. The other 11 people felt Old Qin's aura and also increased the heavenly demon power that they released outside their bodies at the same time. To them, the heavenly demon power was limited. The more they used, the less they would have. However, facing a powerful opponent like Ling Xiao, they had no choice at all. They had to go all out. Otherwise, only death was left for them. Kill! 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 Their voices reverberated through the clouds. In this pitch-black foggy area, something seemed to have been startled awake. Under the sea, a huge black shadow squirmed for a moment, then quieted down again. 12 black blades slashed at Ling Xiao, not at the same time, but in picturesque disorder. The terrifying thing about the blade array was that if you attempted to block all the attacks in an instant, it was simply an impossible thing. Ling Xiao could feel that his surroundings were filled with eerie killing intent. Those black blades seemed to have a life of their own. They actually aimed at all the vital points on his body at just the right time. Heavenly Demon Claw. Ling Xiao did not retreat. Instead, he waved his palm and clawed forward with his claws. The heavenly demon power circulated. On the black heavenly demon claw, black light circulated. It tore open a space and collided with the black blades. Clang! The sound of the collision rang out. It was actually like the sound of metal clashing. Then, Ling Xiao discovered that a lot of his heavenly demon power was actually devoured by the black blades. Moreover, he was unable to repel his opponent. Instead, he was hit several times. Although he relied on his powerful mystic world body and heavenly demon incarnation to not be injured, he was still in a very sorry state. What a powerful blade array. This coordination is simply amazing. The 12 of you have probably been trained since young. What a pity. If you don't die, the 12 of you can really become very powerful. Although Ling Xiao was in a sorry state, there was a smile on his face. This kind of battle was Ling Xiao's favorite because the more difficult the battle, the more benefits he could obtain. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.